All right, so the untouchable True School Sports Empire, and y'all know the rest, man. Well, listen, we got a great show. The man is here. I'm happy to be live once again, collaborating once again with my one of my best friends in the world, and definitely one of the best minds out there in the fight game. My main man, 50 grand, Sean Zittel. Sean, welcome back to True School.
Let me get my shark pillow in my son's room just to settle in here
Yeah, settle
as
in.
we do Shannon and Ocho. I mean Brendan and Sean's nightcap.
Correct.
Totally original idea.
Correct. But how you feeling, Sean? How's everything going?
Feeling good, man. Got the family downstairs watching Spider-Man 2 from 2004. And just ready to have some fun, ready to riff with my boy, and kick back and just talk some boxing.
1,000%, man. And it looks like we already got a pretty, a couple people here already. We got the Spit Bucket in the building. Shout out to the Spit Bucket.
Hey, what's up, Spit Bucket Podcast?
We see him press roll all the time. Good dude. Good to see you, champ.
Just saw him in Brooklyn.
Just saw him in Brooklyn at the Boots Zayas fight, and then Samson right here. He's digging your haircut. The new haircut's getting good reviews.
Yeah, but it's still a bad haircut. And,
Yeah.
Shaggy was the one closest to the main character, Scooby. That's his fucking dog. That's
Correct.
probably his fucking dog, okay? They don't all share the dog. Someone owns the dog.
Yeah, there's
And that's
ownership
probably
somewhere.
Shaggy.
So there you go. There you go.
And
But
again, how do we know he wasn't piping down Daphne and Velma
oh man,
on the
yeah,
low?
we don't know. What do you got? What does the chat think? Do y'all think that Shaggy was piping down Velma on the low?
Yeah.
but Shaw, man, I wanted to just kind of get into it though with the whole like Virgil Ortiz situation. The Golden Boy here. I guess they went ahead and they settled the dispute. Now we can look forward to Virgil fighting again. What do you make of all that, Sean? The whole Virgil Ortiz thing.
Well, Oscar held his nuts pretty good, He and I didn't know if it was going to start going against him, and if Rick had a master plan all along to get Virgil out of that contract, get him over to Zuffa, where he can get big money like Shakur did, and Oscar, by just kind of being straightforward with us in the media, showing his hand, it kind of worked for him. He's like, I have contracts and I'm going to fight for them in court, and I remember specifically that language about he needed a relationship with DAZN that kind of saved him in court. And he earlier in the year it was looking kind of bleak for him. It's like you might lose Ryan Garcia, you might lose Virgil Ortiz, you might not have a network to go to as your DAZN dealers come up. Now he's got the DAZN extension. Him and Ryan, I wonder maybe if a guy like Ryan, who despite all the ups and downs and turmoil he's had with Oscar and not liking a number of things Oscar has said or done, but maybe that straightforwardness that Oscar has been having the last year or two and his kind of like revitalization on the scene, right? Because he was MIA for a number of years. And then around Ryan and Tank, he gets back on the scene. Ryan didn't like him not showing up to the post fight. Oscar kind of gave a weak excuse about having to go to dinner.
Yeah, we were there.
It's like, dude, yeah, we covered that fight, and it's like it's not really a good excuse. But part of me understood it because it was like, well, I didn't want you to take this fight. You kind of circumvented me with Lupe Valencia, took the fight because you wanted the big money, and we didn't really think you were ready. And if you won, I was going to ride the bandwagon and be like, I knew Ryan would always win, but you lost, so I'm going to go to dinner.
Correct.
But now, anyways, I'm sorry for being long-winded, chat, but it seems like they're on amicable terms, right? And maybe Ryan, what I was getting at, some level of him respects it. At least we know where we stand. He's not gonna always just smile these days, and then behind my back, oh, fuck that kid and his, and whatever grievances Oscar has these days, he's a lot more transparent about. So you know where you stand with him. And so, anyways, back to Virgil. The beginning of the year didn't look good for Oscar, and now he wins over Rick Merizian. He has his fighter ready to fight again. In Virgil, he has Ryan. Ryan just inked an extension with DAZN, I think. That was part of the deal of allowing him to fight at Paramount. I have to check it again. I think Raphael tweeted it, Dan. But do you know if that extension applies to him and Oscar as well in Golden Boy, or is it just a DAZN thing? Are they prying Ryan solo dolo like they have with Tiafimo and like they offered Shakur?
I'm not entirely sure. I feel like with deals like that and what boxing is now, Sean, there's like a lot of gray areas between the zone directly negotiating with fighters and promoters. So remains to be seen.
Well, let's say he does. I mean, let's say he's a part of that extension. He's sitting pretty good. He's got his network extension. He's got his stars back under contract. So he's doing good. Now, as for Virgil and Boots, maybe you could pull it up in the stream. I don't know if you can, but I had a tweet earlier that seemed to hit well with people where I said his team needs to get him the Fundora fight now.
Yeah.
Because Eddie, and I've been wanting that fight since last year anyways, when this fight was originally supposed to be being discussed in late 2025 and being made in early 2026. I was like, yeah, it's a great fight, Boots and Virgil, but we're going to do this for an interim title? Like, it's not even, let alone not a unification, not undisputed. So Eddie Hearn, understandably this week in LA for the Pacheco fight, is saying today's price isn't yesterday's price. And I know some people want to go, oh, now look at Team Ennis. They're holding up the Virgil fight. But Eddie, it's fair. It's fair to say that. He's a unified champion. Actually, Duran Ennis, and I like Virgil Ortiz. He's really fucking good. But Duran Ennis has 4 world titles to his name now. He is now a 2-division, 2-time unified champion, and Virgil is yet to get his hands on a full world title. So you're not going to get economic parity like you may have gotten earlier this year. So what you got to do is you got to make your statement. You got to bring some hardware to the table.
You were talking about this tweet here, right? This one right here?
Yep.
So it said, my thoughts on Boots and Virgil right now are simple. Virgil needs to land the Fundora fight. Eddie has talked about matching Boots with Josh Kelly next. Boots says he wants the belts. Virgil's team has to try and land a Fundora fight in the meantime.
There you go.
Which is a great fight, by the way. I feel like that's a perfect fight for like the Dignity Health Sports Park or like the StubHub, whatever they call it now.
Oh, you're thinking small, BT. You don't think that's an MGM fight? I mean, he fought Keith Thurman at the MGM.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of it more so like the kind of fight it's gonna be. Like I expect it to be kind of a war, and I feel like that's the perfect stage for that fight because of the kind of fight I think it'll be.
Yeah,
but yeah, it could be an MGM fight.
I think that's what it is, bro.
You think so?
Yes.
Because really, Sean, I don't even think I know they put it at the MGM, but I don't think Keith versus Fundora was really an MGM fight. The MGM wasn't sold out.
No, it was not. It was a lot of bald patches.
And you were there when Fundora fought Cordell Brooker. How big was that crowd?
It was
yeah.
What's the word again?
Sparse.
Sparse. Thank you.
Yes.
Almost sparsely, like the shit they put on your spaghetti. Like
yeah.
It was sparse. It was. And dark and gloomy.
Yeah. Like Mexican American doesn't always equal ticket sales and fan base. It doesn't always.
But I think those two though,
yeah.
Yeah, man. I think they can get, they can fill up. Maybe you might have to tarp off the top, but put it at the MGM, bro. It's not come on now. It's not a StubHub fight.
I think it is. I think it's a StubHub fight.
Yeah, you might be you might be being realistic about how many people they could actually sell tickets for, but
correct. I mean, I know we think it's a big fight. We think Virgil Fundora is a fight that's worthy of MGM because of how exciting it is and their names and things like that. But commercially, it's not a MGM fight. MGM Grand Slam is supposed to be for like the biggest and best, like
you're right,
name wise.
You're right. The standards. BT.
We've gotten away from that in boxing.
Right. So for today's standards and market, it's an MGM fight.
What about the Alamo Dome?
People and Rolly shouldn't be at T-Mobile.
What about the Alamo Dome? They're saying Alamo Dome.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I was thinking that too. Our guy Chiquian Boxing, much love to him, man. That's our guy.
Yeah, shout out to him. But I mean, I think it has to happen next. I think Virgil needs a big fight. He needs to actually fight for a world title because he was at 140. He didn't fight for a world title. He was at 47, didn't fight for a world title there. And he's been at 54 now for like 2 years and hasn't fought for a world title. So
Yeah.
It's getting and you had this whole dispute all of a sudden, and a lot of the Jerron Ennis fans, and rightfully so, they said, you know what, all of a sudden it's time to fight Boots. You do the big face off, and now there's a big dispute, and now they resolved it after Boots beat Xander.
Yeah, it turned out to be for nothing, really. And
Yeah,
yeah, you lost 10 months of inactivity. And remember, one thing Rick Meridian would tell me why he thought his guy could beat Ennis was Ennis's lack of experience and quality opposition. Well, now he just fought a very solid, good young champion in Xander under some very bright lights. The brightest lights either one of them, Virgil and Ennis, I'm talking about, have ever fought under. And getting hurt in the third round, that may just make him that much more experienced and understand he can't afford a moment like that against Virgil Ortiz. And he fights behind his jab that much more so and dials down the willingness and take chances just a little. I mean, that's who he's always going to be, but just a little to pick Virgil apart, and then again get that experience of dealing with a big fight that Virgil still hasn't had yet. So
correct.
yeah, it all turned out to be for naught, and yeah, now their leverage only went down, rightfully so.
Spit Bucket, he's a Texas guy, so he was there. I don't know if you were at Virgil versus Lubin, but he was there, and he said there was a lot of empty seats over there in Fort Worth. Is that true, Sean? Were you there?
No, I mean I watched it on the zone like everybody
Yeah,
else did, but I saw it. I saw that. I could see on my screen on my laptop watching the fight that was the case. Like Spit Bucket, I mean Spit Bucket was there,
yeah.
so you hear it from the man who was there himself. He did look really fucking good in that fight though, and I know Lubin chinny and passed it, but Lubin is a good fighter and had just controversially, but still had beaten Jesus Ramos, who's a good young fighter. And Virgil, the thing I think people sleep on with Virgil is his hand speed. I always say that he's got a lot of velocity on his combinations. He's throwing heat, good power in both hands. And if he gets to that same mid range that Zayas got to and had all that success in the third round with, then if he it's conceivable he could get there and land the same kind of combinations and have a lot more devastating effect. But I am picking Ennis against the field right now though.
I hear you. No, and not even just the hand speed, Sean. It's also like his hand positioning at times. Sometimes he doesn't just strictly operate out of the high guard like everybody says, because he showed a bit of that in the Madrimal fight. He's got good angles. I mean, he is a Robert Garcia fighter, so he does have some remnants. Not that he's banned, but when he knocked out Lubin, it was off of an angle change.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a lot more subtleties to his skill set than people give him credit for. They like to think of Virgil Ortiz as like a high guard, overly front foot dominant Mexican fighter, and I don't think he's that. So it'll be intriguing to see what could happen if Virgil gets downhill on Boots. But I would tend to agree with you. I've always favored Ennis in the fight. With him, it's really like a durability thing. If Virgil gets downhill on him and hurts him, is he durable enough? And that remains to be seen. But I would lean towards Ennis as well.
Yeah, and Virgil also has a great jab.
Correct.
So that he doubles up and it's a weapon and gets him into that mid range he would need to start going downhill like you're talking about.
Correct.
And he's got a little bend to his waist too. He's not Canelo when it comes to hit the bend in his waist, but he that was giving Lubin a lot of problems, and just his educated pressure, and just a better puncher than Xander too. A little bit faster, a little older, a little stronger.
Also, too, like Boots had that interview on the Pivot, Sean, where he was talking about how he wasn't. He said he wasn't hurt in the third round. He was just chilling, and he gets lazy in there. Those things against someone like with the firepower of Virgil Ortiz could be the difference in the fight. Xander, good fighter, very sound, but we all knew he didn't have the offensive firepower that Virgil had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and he can rationalize it, rectify it however he wants, but he did get hurt against a guy who's not the biggest puncher. But I did think that Xander's power was a little slept on heading into that fight. It kind of reminded me of Danny heading into the Matisse fight. And Danny's a better puncher pound for pound at that time than Xander is now. But everybody was talking about Matiste's power, and it's like, this is a strong, big 140 that Danny could crack. And again, Xander can't crack like Danny did at 140, but he's a big kid at 154. I never thought he was feather fisted. And
No.
remember, he's not, what did surprise me is he hurt Boots with a right hand because he's naturally left-handed, fighting orthodox. So, but again, Boots fans are fair to point out that Virgil had been hurt by lesser punchers than Boots, who doesn't have Boots' speed and creativity and everything like Mean Machine and Sergey Boachuk
Yep, twice.
is a grinder. Like he's not a huge puncher. He's not a snappy, can hit you with a shot you don't see coming and have power on it. He's more of a grinder. And yeah, he dropped Virgil twice, and I still thought Virgil won that fight. But so they both have shown vulnerability. It would be a super exciting fight. But let's see Virgil and Fundora first.
1,000%. How we get to see it. We got our first switch chat from my main man, the Spit Bucket Podcast. He says, I'm going to have to catch the playback gang. It's movie time with the family. I'll stand on this. It's the shots you don't see later, fellas. And shout out to the Spit Bucket Podcast. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Spit Bucket Podcast. Good guy.
Yeah, see, he was a step ahead. He knew, that's just what I said. Like, Boots is going to hit him with shots he doesn't see coming the way Boachuk, if Boachuk dropped, we'll see. If Boachuk dropped him with slower hands and not as much power as Boots, then Boots could take it a step further. Just like if Zayas hurt him with a right hand and he's not even a puncher like that, and the power he usually generates is with his left hand, and if Virgil gets, that's why they got to fight the fights. But I think the overall talent of Boots makes him the favorite.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, like going back to Virgil, I would favor Boots, but
Xander's left hook. Yeah, that's true. He hurt him with that too. But it was the right hand that got it going, that snapped his head back and got him a little less alert and messed with it. It looked like his reflex, and then eventually the left hook followed it up on the temple that hurt Boots too. So, but no, that's a good point by Joey.
No, for sure. But Boots can't have those lapses. I mean, if he has those lapses and it happens to be when Virgil hits one of those angles, he could get hurt like Erickson Lubin did. The lights get cut off.
Yeah, and then Sebastian Fundora's got something to say about all of this. He's a fucking problem for everybody.
Yeah, he's definitely matured since the Brian Mendoza knockout loss. He's had some good experiences fighting Tim Tszyu, things like that. Really matured into a good champion.
Who would you pick, Virgil or Fundora?
Virgil Ortiz. How about you?
I tend to think the same thing, but you can't sleep on Fundora, man.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to sleep on Fundora because his bones are like super dense and he can close your eyes shut with a couple of shots. But I've always been a big advocate for the Virgil Ortiz power jab, and I think in that fight when you're fighting a guy like Fundora, that jab could gain a lot of real estate and push Fundora backwards. I don't really see Fundora as the kind of guy that can fight off his back foot. He's never really shown that in his career. Even though he's learning how to fight taller, he's not a guy that fights off his back foot.
I could just see Virgil, though, getting pelted a little bit and then getting where he wants to get, mid-range, closer to Fundora, and then still just getting eaten up in his high guard, uppercuts, busting him up. But at the same time, like Tim Tszyu in both fights, even the fight where Fundora was pretty decisive and stopped him in 7 rounds, he was still getting his head flung around in spots by Tszyu whenever Tszyu got where he needed to get. And if Ortiz can get the majority of the fight in there, he has faster hands, hits hard. Fundora's defense isn't really that. His offense and his length is his defense. It's not like he has this great parrying ability or any real head movement. So, yeah, I favor Virgil and I favor Ennis over Fundora, but Fundora is a problem, bro. He could conceivably beat both of them and surprise everybody, and just in retrospect be like, the guy is 6'6", and once he used his height a little bit more, and he still got that vicious uppercut on the inside, he's still mean, he still has power and leverage, and
it was game over.
Yeah, right. It was game over. So But yeah, it feels like the finals are going to wind up being Virgil and Boots at some point.
Mm, okay. Uh, I wanted to take on this, Sean, because I know we do got Tim Zoo, Earl Spence coming up. I have this theory. I don't know if I believe it as much as I used to now with them fighting at 160, but I genuinely do feel like if Earl Spence does beat uh, Tim Zoo, that PBC will make a play for Sebastian Fundora to fight Earl Spence because they did face off in the ring, and that's a big money fight, and it's something that Samson has alluded to in the past. So, what do you think of that scenario playing itself out? Fundora versus Earl Spence in 2026.
I shared a part of my interview with Fundora last week in Hollywood, where I said, "Hey man, if they try to give you Spence and Charlo, will you put your foot down and insist with your team, with your company, to make Virgil or Boots instead? Because ultimately, it's your reputation on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if you don't care about that, then fine. If it's just about, but Sebastian doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. Even though he vacated the WBO to Xander Zayas, and even though they kind of had a ball game about negotiations with Terrence Crawford, who says he was interested to fight him, but they wanted to get Spence, who came in the ring after the Zoo upset 2 years ago. But still, Fundora is a G. You know what I mean? I really think he's a fearless fighter who would fight anybody. But he's also a loyal, and I don't mean this bad, but obedient kind of fighter. His dad is loyal to Samson. He's going to do what his father says, and his
He
father,
he trusts his team. He
he
trusts his
trusts his
team.
team. He trusts his team. But I think now that he has entered his real prime and confidence is riding high and he's improved as a fighter, I think, it's at some point the man has to take control of his own destiny.
Thousand
And so
percent.
he said in my interview with him, yeah, man, it made us look like punks that were shooting down these fights right away, and I don't like that. And I told
Mm.
Samson I don't like that. And he's like, I could do the Charlo and Spence fight and make good money, but it doesn't hold the weight that it would fighting Virgil or Boots. So I think those are the fights that should happen next after my mandatory. And then I asked him, I said, is it like, I go, you have a bunch of animals up there in the mountains in California. Is it like while you got this edge and this belief and you're in your prime and you're starting to peak now as a fighter, would it be like domesticating you if they feed you, no offense to a Spence or a Charlo, but they feed you puppy chow and don't let you rumble with the big dogs? Can that take away your edge? Can that, you know what I mean,
Dull
deteriorate
the
your
blade.
edge? Dull
Yeah.
the blade, eye of the tiger, whatever fucking cliche you want to use that is applicable here.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, 100%. So, let's see if that happens. And I don't know. I've always had a feeling one way or the other we're going to wind up with Virgil and Fundora because Golden Boy and PBC have been doing fights.
Well, and now they're all under the same roof with the zone, so all the chess pieces are in place.
Right. So I don't know. I just got a feeling in the next 12 months we'll get Virgil and Fundora, and Eddie will. Eddie is showing his commitment to Boots by talking up the Josh Kelly fight. I think in seeing his real American star coming to fruition in Boots, I think if he didn't quite see it that way, if there was any hesitancy that Boots could really become the guy for him in America he's been looking for since he came here, I think he'd be like, let me get a couple more paydays for my fellow Brit here, Josh Kelly. But now that he thinks Boots really is that guy, he sees it. He's like, yeah, Josh, do us the solid, bro. Get in the ring. I'll pay you good. I'll get the zone to break you off something. Maybe we'll have it in your backyard. But you got to come off that belt from my premier client right now, Duran Ennis. And then if
Yeah.
Virgil, and then, Duran saying, like, I want belts, like, and he's getting some get back, big time people in business and boxing and sports and, again, in business, any industry, they can be petty. And him and his father are taking their chance to be a little petty and say, get the fuck to the back of the line, Virgil. and
Oh,
what Virgil
they're well within the rights to do that with him because they had the deal in place. Even boots aside, Virgil was doing that with Xander. They're trying to make the Xander fight. He won and he fought Madrimov, and you see
yeah,
how that ended up for him. So
yep. So Virgil has to land the green belt. The green belt is an equalizer. No matter how much stupid shit the WBC does, until Zuffa ever pulls off their whole original plan, which they seem to be deviating from right now, maybe out of necessity or they're just buying time until they get to the real full plan.
it's like a trial period.
Then the green belt holds a lot of weight, and it could be an equalizer to Ennis having 2 or 3 belts to his one.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have to walk through hell to get it.
Well,
If he fights
Fundora.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a hellacious night, win or lose. And
To your point about, I'm gonna cut you off, Sean, but to your point about Fundora, I had my like the whole impression we get about Fundora being overly trustworthy of his team and those kind of things. When we finally got around him when he fought Thurman, in back in March, I remember as he was coming out the ring, our good buddy Marcus Haynes from Fight Hub, he had asked him some question. I forgot what he said as he got out the ring, sweat all over his face, and he said it from his chest. I'm the king of 154,
right.
and he really believed it. So I think he's at that stage of his career where the confidence is there, the physical abilities are there, and I'm going to give Fundora the benefit of the doubt. I think he will step up to the plate when push comes to shove and make these fights happen because he wants to prove that he really is the man at 154.
I agree, and our guy Chiquian said, but is that really so? Sean, Matchroom is the zone's main baby. Indeed, they are. They own a 40% stake in Matchroom USA. I think DAZN wants this division to run through Jaron Ennis for sure. But while Jaron is seemingly headed towards Josh Kelly, who fights next weekend, and I know Fundora has a mandatory in the coming months, so to Chiquian's point, there's definitely a universe where Eddie and Matchroom lean on Team Fundora to say, hey, like, we want undisputed right here, right now, right? But I think if you begin the framework of getting Virgil and Fundora over the finish line, if you can get a deal in place between PBC and Golden Boy, that's why I said team. I'm trying to help you, Virgil. I'm putting the onus on your team. Get to work. Okay,
Yep.
Lawson is done. Get to work. Like, get that Fundora fight done. You have a little bit of breathing room while Eddie is moving boots towards Josh Kelly. So while they're putting that together, you need to put together Fundora, and you could probably still get away with getting a tune-up, a comeback fight in before the year's over, and then have something settled with Fundora for the first quarter of next year. If, or since it's boxing, the first half of next year.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. And again, I think because the relationship between the two promoters, you've seen a lot more PBC Golden Boy fights like Barrios and Ryan and Benavidez Zerto in just the last couple months than you've seen PBC Matchroom or even Golden Boy Matchroom. So that's what I think. I think they can get it. I think they can get it done, and that's on Rick to have some redemption and make up for the momentum he's lost as fighter. Deliver the Fundora fight.
1,000% shot.
And so wanting to match the Spence shit, with Fundora, I think Spence might win next Saturday. It's really hard for me to pick that fight.
I'm not even picking.
I don't really want to pick either. It's like, I don't know. I think
Nobody does. Not even Spence.
I'll give some people credit. There's some people who just know on a fight-to-fight basis. They know. And they will be proven right.
Yeah.
But either Rick Glazer or some Errol Spence believers will be proven right.
Correct.
One way or the other. But there is a scenario where those options next week are taken off the table entirely. That Jermell Charlo, despite what he says, who hasn't fought at 154 in 3 years, can't make 154 anymore. So that takes that off the table. And then if Errol Spence loses, that's taken off the table. So in theory, while they want, Fundora to fight these PBC fighters that have lost their stock or have faded, respectfully, as former top top shelf champions, but not what they once were.
Yeah.
Those could be off the table in like 7 days, 8 days, if Zoo beats Spence anyways.
Sean, take a look at these reaches that Next Gen Combat just put in the chat. So you got Fundora pushing at 80, Virgil pushing 70, and that's half an inch shorter than what Tim Zoo brought to the table at 70 and a half. So how much of Virgil's lack of reach do you think that causes him against the elites at 54?
Um, Again, I think it gives Boots an edge because Boots has a 4-inch reach advantage on him, and Boots has an excellent jab out of both stances
Correct.
that he can level change with and double up. Virgil can do those things too, but with a shorter reach and fighting more out of the high guard, while Boots is athletic and creative enough to fight with one hand lower than the other, and that gives his vision better. And then he's got the upper body fluidity to go with it. Even though we know Boots gets caught too, not perfect defensively, but he has more looks defensively. I think that's a problem. That's part of why I would favor Boots to beat Virgil. And then against Fundora, it's a problem for everybody. And Fundora does have a better straight left hand. He has a better jab, but I still think
Right uppercut.
the left uppercut.
Oh yeah.
And the right uppercut. You're right, but I think it's the left uppercut's the real moneymaker with the backhand. But I still think Virgil could get to the distance he wants to get to. I saw Zoo. Well, Zoo had to sell out and even leave his feet sometimes. But however Tim Zoo did it, whose reach is even shorter than Virgil, isn't as fast as Virgil, doesn't have an authoritative jab like Virgil. He was able to clock Fundora despite that massive reach and height disadvantage with some big shots, especially in the last round before he got stopped. So I think Virgil will be able to do that too. And yeah, I mean, it's a great fight. Again, I could see Virgil getting eaten up, getting to where he wants to get to, and then getting hurt by left uppercuts. Fundora's a good combination puncher once he gets you hurt. He is. Yeah, he's. Yeah. So
somebody brought it up in the chat earlier that Virgil scar tissue. He scars like real easily up in there.
Yeah.
I remember like 5 years ago when I went to the Maurice Hooker fight over there in Fort Worth. And Hooker didn't land. I don't think he landed that much leather on Virgil. I mean, he had some moments here and there in spots, but I remember Virgil, like right here, had a lot of scar tissue. I always used to see him scarred up no matter who he fights. So I do think that's in play as well. That's a big factor.
What you got to think is part of it being more of a high guard guy and blocking a lot of shots, but it's
your glove gets pushed into your face.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. But you know what, Sean? I wanted to switch gears a little bit because this whole Ryan Garcia, Conor Ben thing is with Zuffa and Golden Boy. We've talked on the phone, amongst ourselves at length about just the future of boxing, Zuffa boxing. My bad. Hold on. What do you think about Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben and them Zuffa working with Golden Boy? You mentioned earlier that now Zuffa seems to be kind of going back on their words and working with the industry of boxing more. So what's your overall take on that?
Well, the Guinea Mick extravaganza in Europe coming up. What is it? Edinosa and McKenna?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get to say that because I'm Italian and Irish. So it's the rare Italian versus Irish world title fight, Brendan. God bless Zuffa. They say, I get it. I've been, the Zuffa critic, but that's kind of cool.
They're bringing back Italian boxing to the forefront of the world.
Yeah.
The Paisans back on top.
Oh, and then the winner gets to get fed to Amari Jones. Beautiful. But anyways, I bring that up because they put on their card now world championship fight.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that when Jai was. Well, I guess they had the. I get the sense even if the IBF was copacetic with everything and whatever procedure was going on, they still wouldn't have put world championship bout on it.
Correct.
And they would have still had it under the designation for the Zuffa title. So I think between Dana acknowledging the WBC belt for Ryan Garcia, right, or being a world champion, right? And when he announced the fight on his Twitter, it shows at least a temporary resignation to do business with the status quo of boxing. And I'm being told by people who know politics better than I do that, and just before I even get to that, it just seems to me they thought they would have this whole Ali Act stuff ironed out by now.
Yeah.
And but beyond that, people who really pay attention to legislation and bills passing in the Senate after they go through the House committee and everything, they're telling me that it's not easy right now. That some of the Republican House isn't happy with Trump over certain things that happened in that Iran ordeal, and they got a lot of other bills to pass that are more pressing than some boxing legislature. And the Democrats, they might be poised to oppose it more. Just because you got a couple of Democrats in your pocket doesn't mean you have all of them.
So is there a possibility that the bill doesn't get past the Senate?
That is what I'm hearing, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. I wouldn't hold my breath for that. Ari Emanuel has connections. I mean, there was a fucking New York Times article a day or two ago saying he's like the most influential person in the 2028 election. Because he controls so much talent in not only entertainment, but a lot of these podcasters and streamers and influencers and
just media.
He's like the agent of the NFL, like the actual NFL front office, right? And so he owns so much of the podcast, not owns, but he has
the talent,
his tentacles everywhere. Right. And his brother, Rahm Emanuel, was in the Obama cabinet. He was Donald Trump's agent. So whether it's Republican or Democrat, he's got the connections everywhere. But I'm just hearing that there's a chance that because I'm sorry, chat, but apparently there's only a finite time to get this shit passed through before the year's over, and then you got to wait until 2027. And I'm hearing if they can't get it passed right now, that by 2027, the chances of it going down the chances of it getting passed ever only go down.
And then that would mean that Zuffa would have to play ball with the actual boxing industry and put on work within the infrastructures of the current powers that be.
Yeah, but okay, so MMA Draw had a brilliant article about this, and it wound up saying the exact same thing. Great minds thought alike. That Raheem said on the channel, the show me and Raheem do. Just 2 days ago, Raheem is like, look, it is what you call a silo. Netflix at the top, Paramount, and DAZN. And remember, Ari Emanuel and Len Blavatnik, the owner of DAZN, they coordinated Canelo Kovalev being pushed off for the UFC main event back in 2019. Right. So they have a relationship. I would recommend everybody go to the MMA Draw Twitter and read the article that they wrote about this fight, Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, to explain how this fight is going to be a microcosm of future business, where Paramount is going to get the American rights. DAZN will get their piece by being the worldwide streaming, at least in this fight. They have the United Kingdom and Ireland, which isn't small potatoes, because of the United Kingdom demographic that's going to tune in to watch Conor. But basically, Ali Act or not, they got enough of their ducks in a row to get where they still want to get. But, me kind of selfishly would like to see them not get the Ali Act passed. So then it's like, you
got to promote now. You got to actually promote it.
Yeah, and saw a few people on Twitter being like, Shakur Stevenson doesn't care about the Ali Act. And it's like, well, you'd be surprised who came up to me personally to thank me for that question. You'd be surprised. And also, Shakur Stevenson got that deal to under the current Ali Act. And I ran into Omar Juarez and Sebastian Juarez at the gym when I was working out. And I was like, this is good for you guys, because if they just have to compete in the market without getting their UBO done, that's just going to drive up the price for all of you guys. Now they got to, and
all the mid-tier, middle-class fighters get a higher pay grade now in the sport.
Right. And Shakur
Yeah,
Stevenson, what, rumored high 8 figures, if not 9 figure deal he just landed. So, but remember everybody, that is all secondary to what had I was so, I had my ass all chapped over. And it was, you're not supposed to change American legislature over some powerful guys like Ari and Lawrence Epstein and Mark Shapiro and on behalf of a Saudi government in conjunction with those fellas. You're not
correct.
supposed to
So
do this. It's not supposed to go like that,
I
boxing or
don't
not.
I don't want to cut you out, Sean. I want to answer the super chat
Yeah.
because it was sent a while ago.
Yeah.
My man Chiquian Talks Boxing says, question for you guys: will you cover the Ryan Garcia Conor Ben fight? Even I don't want to support the event most because of Zuffa and Salah. So I guess I'll answer first. I mean, I'm going to apply to it. If they accept me, I'll be there. Um, if not, I might still be there because a good friend of mine might be on the undercard.
Zuffa doesn't want to credential me, Shaquian, but Golden Boy also is a part of this too. So Oscar, who called us twinsies recently because he used my haircut, you know, look your boy up, Golden Boy. Have the big SZ in the building. This is my city. So let me come through and do my
Yeah,
job. And if they
yeah,
don't, then I'll just be on my live and just
that's
like
it.
do a live and commentate the fight.
Listen, whether we're there or not, you guys are still going to get great world class content on both our channels. So wherever we end up, just make sure y'all tune in.
Measy says Aliak narrative is a bunch of nonsense by you guys. Well, what do you mean?
Yeah,
Aliak is overrated by you guys. It's not overrated by TKO.
I
Their
mean,
first order of business was to appeal it and change it. So
and if it was overrated, I mean, you wouldn't be spending any energy trying to get it changed. You
yeah,
know,
just
I mean,
again,
I don't need to open. I don't need to go down that road because you did a
yeah,
pretty
I've
good
said
job
it.
at last
Yeah.
September when you pressed Dana White about it. But we know about the class action lawsuits, the damn near 400 million that UFC had to pay out to almost over 1,000 MMA fighters. So
Look, if you're going to take over boxing and make it a monopoly and you do it, okay, you do it. It is what it is. But you're not supposed to change American laws under the government that, is in court right now for 9/11 still in New York. Oh, am I crazy, Brendan, for thinking this?
they're gonna say conspiracy theorists. You're crazy.
But it's not, but they
Tim,
are in court
no,
right now
I
in New
know.
York and beyond them. The TKO powerhouses.
Okay.
What are we doing here?
Well, Sean, legislation aside, Zuffa boxing aside, what about Ryan Garcia, Conor Ben, just the fight in the ring? What do you think about it?
I originally think Ryan Garcia is going to catch him and knock him out. But then kind of being dismissive of Conor Ben, but then I realized that Conor Ben is explosive, and two ingredients that have helped beat Ryan Garcia from Rolly and from Tank is twitchiness and power. Guys who can match him in that area of being twitchy, and who
Right.
have the power to make him hesitant to take his gusto, to take the
Yeah.
wind out of his
Put his
sails.
hands in his pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those and maybe Conor Ben has some of that. Has it? Maybe he has it, but because he does show that explosiveness sometimes. Just watch him on the mitts. Watch him in the 3 knockdowns against a depleted, drained Chris Eubank Jr. in the rematch. But and I say all that to add context, but um, yeah, he showcases that sometimes, and it's funny. I got a text from a UK guy and goes, what was that? Oh, damn, I can't exit out of this, but it was basically like, um, I wonder if there's drug testing for this fight or something. And again, I talk to guys in the gym who are on the gear, and they tell me they think a lot of fighters are on it, a lot, more than 50%. So keep
Oh,
that in
it's
mind.
much more than 50%.
Okay, right. Okay, keep
Yeah.
that in mind. Just but he was like, yeah, I wonder if they have drug testing for this fight. And I said, hopefully not, so we get both men at their best.
Yeah, but both guys, when they haven't had the gear, they haven't looked so sensational.
Yeah, right. So I want both men at their best.
That's what we want.
As long as it's an even playing field.
At least you're getting the fights, man.
Let him have his eggs. Let Ryan do what he does. and let's
Yeah.
have a good fight from the
I'll
start.
tell you this, man. If Ryan just work behind his jab and just kind of like if he takes, I would say, a similar approach to the middle to later rounds, the Barrios fight, just box, use your amateur pedigree, make him overcommit. He should stop Conor Ben, but I kind of feel like he's not going to do that. I think he's going to sit there and want to have a fight, and for that reason, I can't fully write off Conor Ben.
Yeah, and Garcia's inconsistency. Look, I think we're both picking him, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah. I'm picking Ryan, but it's like
Yeah, but
you can't ever do things with confidence of Ryan because there's just too many inconsistencies in his career. Way too many up and down performances. He's never really shown himself to be a guy that can consistently box behind his jab. But he has it there. I mean, he was one of the best amateurs in the country before he turned pro.
even after dropping Barrios, like it felt like he could have got him out of there in the first round. And then he did a 360 like 10 seconds after dropping him. He turned his back and just little weird moments like that. There was something else I was gonna say.
Well, while you're thinking about that, Sean, the real Dundada has entered the chat. She said, "Good job grinding."
Yeah, because I started the chat saying the world is about to
To
feel
see something, yeah,
that they never
never felt
felt
before.
felt before.
Ghetto to ghetto, backyard to yard.
Oh no, this is what I was gonna say. And then Ryan, I felt like I don't know. I'd have to look again at his streams. I felt like he was a little more toned up 8 weeks out from Barrios than he showed on that kick stream with Adrian Broner last night.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna win.
he should win.
I think he's gonna win.
I'll tell you this: if he loses Conor Ben, we're gonna have to have some serious conversations about Ryan Garcia. Like, I'm not trying to down Conor Ben, but this the same Conor Ben. We were there, Sean, when he fought my boy Pistol Pete Dobson, and he
We
wasn't even
were.
fully in shape, and it was a 2 in the afternoon fight at the Cosmopolitan. Pete
Yep.
Dobson was getting off on him in spots of that fight. Fought Adrian Granados, who's limited as hell. Adrian Granados was frustrating him, boxing him. So his limitations have been shown time and time again. And if Ryan can't beat him in sensational fashion, then there's some serious talks we need to have. With all due respect to Conor Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to show he's world level.
Levels, yeah.
Go ahead. So what Chiquilla said, AB would say, "Who is Kerr?"
Who's Kerr? Yeah, I see that.
Shit goes hard.
Yeah, Samantha's saying we got to circle back. We're
Okay,
gonna
to what?
circle back to, I guess, I don't know if you're talking about the Clips lyrics or Ryan Garcia, but specify, Sammy, in the chat what we got to circle back to.
Oh, yeah, we talk about the clips.
The Clips, okay. But yeah, and to Ryan Garcia, Sean, it's also his first title defense. That first title defense for anybody, no matter who you fight, it's always a chance for a big letdown just because fighters coming off of a high, especially if it's the
It
first world
shouldn't
title
be a
they won.
letdown. You're fighting on the Mexican Independence Day weekend in T-Mobile. Like,
No, it shouldn't be, but it's just one of those things in boxing. It's human nature. You just won the world title, and for a lot of guys, the first defense is always the hardest. For most guys in boxing,
he's gonna talk shit to you in Spanish. You're not probably gonna fully understand him. And Mexico just lost to England in the World Cup, and
that's right. And then all the Mexicans are gonna call him a pocho who doesn't know his heritage. Like,
his job is to knock Conor Ben the fuck out.
that's it.
And boost his profile on Paramount and with everybody watching in England and take over the date.
Yes,
That's
where we're at. That's what he's supposed to do. But what he's supposed to do and what he will do could be two completely different things. And really, the way I see it, Sean, is it's supposed to be a setup for the biggest fight in American boxing, which is the Devin Haney rematch. I feel it's the biggest fight in American. Would you say it's the biggest fight in American boxing, or is it maybe Tank Shakur?
It's got so much attached to it that I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a fight that could still economically eclipse it. But I think even little things like Devin was on SportsCenter in the aftermath of that fight. And, Ryan saying all the racist shit, like, a year ago. And he's been, like, forgiven since. He's hanging out with Adrian Broner last night and everything. And But I just mean that inflame. Like, there's a lot of heat in that fight. The
Yeah,
steroid thing. Devin Haney is he got the loudest reaction in Brooklyn. Remember, it was booze,
yeah, yeah.
but like he got a reaction.
The emotion.
There's a lot of people who feel like, oh, you're just telling excuses. You got your ass whooped, and then there's plenty of people saying Ryan's a fucking cheater,
Yep.
and so like there's so much heat and so many little stories attached to that fight that once if they could get through, let's say Devin takes the Keyshawn fight, which is another topic I want to talk about because
We'll get to
if
it.
if they could get through their next couple, let's say Ryan bombs Conor Ben out on a big stage in September. Let's say Devin fights Keyshawn, gets through a tremendous hurdle and a tremendous young fighter, beats him, lets his nuts hang and says, all right, I'm defending the title against Keyshawn. Like, and when we get to that moment where the fight would actually be signed for a unification, Cinco de Mayo next year or something, that fight will be red hot. And I do
No,
think it'll cross over too.
1,000%. No, I don't. No fight in America has moved the needle in the last 2 years, except maybe you could say Crawford Canelo to a degree, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, Crawford
yeah,
Canelo for sure.
yeah, Crawford Canelo was a mega event, but I don't know. Even though Crawford Canelo was a mega event, and it did break records. I still feel like Ryan and Devin, at least for the younger crowd, it moved the needle in ways that fights here haven't moved the needle in quite some time.
Yeah, there's
Because
still people posting clips about it.
yeah,
Every time Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia tweet something at each other, people are posting the clips from the fight again. Like, yeah, for sure. And Joey says the momentum for the rematch feels like it's dying a bit. No, it has, but it's
it'll pick
because
up.
it'll pick up and be then. So if they can stay in the winners bracket, it'll just keep getting bigger. Big picture wise.
Like this whole Conor Ben fight on Paramount Plus. I mean, if Ryan goes and delivers a highlight reel knockout, it goes to a whole another stratosphere. And then that's kind of the perfect segue, Sean, into what you just mentioned with Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis and all that. If Devin is able to beat either one of those guys, and then Ryan comes off Conor Ben knockout victory, it becomes a mega fight. What's your temperature on Devin versus them guys? As the guy who you covered all these guys really up close for
Yeah,
years.
yeah. Even if they maybe don't like me anymore.
Yeah, well, some of them. I mean, two of them don't like me.
Yeah, I do talk a lot now.
Yeah,
But look, I think Keyshawn's a very difficult fight. It's really good. You know what I mean? He has a really good jab. He has good defense while coming forward. He has power. He's a good body puncher. He has a good right hand. He can put combinations together. So it's a very difficult fight for less money than Shakur, but I think you should take the Keyshawn fight. I think he should take the Keyshawn fight. It's at the best time for him to if he's ever going to fight Keyshawn Davis and beat him right now is the best time. Keyshawn's never fought at welterweight, and he has half as many fights as Devin, way
yeah.
less championship rounds than Devin. So right now is the best time you could ever fight him to beat him. And I think this is what you should do: you should fight Keyshawn, beat him, and then when it ever comes to Shakur again, say fuck 144 and fuck a rehydration clause. That's the price you pay for thinking you can throw Keyshawn at me as a way to. Because
Right.
I don't think you should fight. I don't think it's smart. One of your main advantages over Shakur is your size, and that's your equalizer to Shakur being a little sharper in the skills department. So getting downhill on him in your sparring session is what swung the momentum when you guys sparred as young
Correct.
men.
Yeah.
So don't concede that. Don't just concede the fight before the fight. You're basically equal in decoration, and accolades. Shakur is ahead of you in the pound for pound, but you're a pound for pound fighter too. Fight
You
Keyshawn.
undisputed.
Fight Keyshawn. Fight Keyshawn. If you get past him, then you tell Shakur, fuck 144, 147, no rehydration clause,
Mm.
or I'm just gonna go handle this huge fight that we were just talking about with Ryan Garcia. Anyways, I don't need you. I don't.
Yeah.
You may not need me, but I don't need you, and I don't need So if neither one of us need each other, why would either one bend to any wills? If you want to prove you're pound for pound number one, you fight me at my weight class. No funny trickeration. You're not some bigger draw or more accomplished fighter that can, leverage that. That I'm gonna go fight Keyshawn, and when I beat Keyshawn, then what? That's
And
what
then
I think is,
Sean, from years of dealing with Bill Haney, they know how to like they know like from a narrative standpoint when it makes sense to take fights that will best suit them. So like they just beat Brian Norman Jr., who was undefeated. A lot of people, us included, were counting out Devin in that fight.
I didn't count him out. I picked
Not
Brian.
count him out, but you picked Brian. You know what I mean. You
Yeah,
picked
yeah,
Brian. But I mean, you beat him when he was undefeated, when he was at, you know, his highest hype he's had in boxing.
yep.
Keyshawn is also undefeated. So I mean, when was the last time we saw, somebody beat two young, prime, undefeated Black American fighters? It has
With
happened in a while.
power
With
in their
power,
athletic primes.
yeah, in their athletic prime. So it would be a really big feather in Devin Haney's cap. A lot of the Devin Haney fans will say, well, Devin's the one that runs to the smoke. He fights Keyshawn Davis, that would further prove their point.
He beats Keyshawn Davis and Brian Norman, takes their O's in back-to-back fights. Guys with power that are athletic. I'd give him major respect for doing that back to back. I really would. And as for the Keyshawn fight, I think the big X factor in that fight is, does Devin hurt him?
Hmm.
Can Devin catch him with the shots he caught Brian Norman with in the second round? And Keyshawn, whose chin hasn't really been tested, he may have a great chin. We don't really know.
Well, in that first night here Albright fight, he was buzzed in that fight when Albright punched in between the shots of Davis. So
Right.
something like that.
Right, but still, relatively speaking, like, Keyshawn has good defense and has been outclassing guys for the most part, to where we don't really know.
No.
And I think Devin's power is better at 147. I mean, he's not George Foreman, but I think his power is better at 147. And how does Keyshawn react to a check left hook, a nice big right hand over the top? Does it get his respect? If not hurt him, does it get his respect in a way? Because one thing I did critique about Keyshawn early in his professional career was he could be a little too patient. Like, once he gets going and lets his gets his combinations going, and he gets into his flow state, he's a very, very, very good offensive fighter. But sometimes he takes time for that to get going. He's cautious. He's very defensive. Even while coming forward, he can be defensive minded, which is good. But if it's a real slow pace, that probably is going to favor Devin Haney. And even against Jermaine Ortiz, which was a brilliant performance, like, I felt he could have got Jermaine out of there sooner.
Correct.
If he had upped his pace a little bit. So, yeah, and then also the frustration factor, him throwing Albright to the ground in that rematch. Devin's gonna tie you up a lot. And I know Keyshawn is very physical in the clinches, but Brian Norman is very strong, and Devin surprised Brian Norman in some of those clinches with working in the clinch and his strength at 147. And
making him reset.
And I wonder if Keyshawn just gets frustrated, does something stupid out of that frustration, like
get a point deduction, or come close to a disqualification.
Yeah. Now on the other side for Keyshawn, Tim Bradley broke it down beautifully because he's the best in the business. Keyshawn can throw combinations and has an excellent right hand, an excellent jab, and he knows how to fight long too. Even though I think Devin may still have a slight edge there on the outside, but like Keyshawn, he knows his distance. He's slick, and he like Tim said, he doesn't fall in. He can put combinations together from long range, middle long range, which is rare because very few fighters can do that. Even Benavidez, he likes to get to that sweet spot. That's why a lot of his best work comes when you're on the ropes or something like that. Or against Zittel last fight, who was crowding him and trying to pressure him. But Benavidez on the outside, he's not going to put together a lot of shots like that. He's got to work on the outside and then get closer to you, and then that's when the combinations rip. Keyshawn can throw good combinations from a fairly long distance. So that could give Devin big problems too. But
Sean,
it's a really good fight.
I'm gonna cut you off, man. I want to give a big shout out to my man Greg Hackett in the chat, one of the best minds in boxing. Great
Hell
dude.
yeah! If we got Greg rocking with us, we're doing something right.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I've always had a lot of love and respect for Greg. Even way before he had a YouTube channel, he was just one of them guys that really puts that. He's fighting soon. Greg's fighting soon, actually.
Oh shit! I
Yeah, so
don't
I'm pretty sure he's in camp mode.
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
I don't want that, John.
Is your chin
Oh,
insured, Sean? You got your you got your chin
nah,
insurance?
nah, man, my shit is off the market, son. We good. We gotta have Greg on, bro. Gotta
For
have him on.
sure. We should have Greg on sometime.
Greg, you down?
Shit, we can get Greg on now if you want to. What y'all
Yeah.
think? I don't know Greg. I don't know what Greg's
Oh
schedule
yeah,
looking like.
Greg's chilling. Let him chill.
He might be in camp. He might just be in camp mode because he got to go punch on some shit soon.
Yeah, he's gotta get his rest too over there on the East Coast.
What did Greg
Chago,
say?
Chago is slotted to fight Tito, right?
Well, no. This guy's name is Tego. But yeah, Emmanuel Tego is gonna fight. No, but Emmanuel Tego is gonna fight Ernesto Mercado.
I was like, damn, is Champ training him? Is Greg training him?
He said it's up to y'all.
You
Okay.
wanna go ahead and send him a link?
Let me go send him a link then. Fuck it. Let's go get Greg. Greg, I'm gonna send it to your Instagram. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
smarten us up.
We'll get I I'm learning. I mean, I learn from everybody in boxing, so I don't mind hearing. I love listening to Greg talk. I haven't had Greg on a live, so this be cool. Me, Sean, GHB TV. Make sure y'all go subscribe to GHB TV. But
What
Greg,
was next? What was next on the
on the
schedule?
agenda,
Yeah.
I wasn't asking about Jamal Charlo, but we got Greg coming on. So next on the agenda is Greg. I just sent him the link. So
Jamal. Man, I know we all loved that knockout against J Rock 10 years ago. Sorry, Philly. Sorry,
yeah,
Greg. I'm not even thinking as I said it, but shout out to J Rock. But Jamal, to me, again, I told you when I was, it dawned on me in the middle of watching Jamal and Jose Benavidez fight on the Boo Boo Benavidez card in 2023 that this was like, and I say this respectfully because they both had so much talent, was the Super Bowl underachiever fight.
Mm.
I was like, in another universe, these two guys are two of the faces and stars of boxing
Sean,
in this generation.
I'm gonna cut you off. Greg Hackett is here, so
Let's
let me
go.
add Greg to the stage. Greg, what's up, champ?
Uh-oh.
I'm chilling. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, Greg?
Just
I'm
chopping it
chilling.
up, man.
Are you guys about
You
to
in
get
camp right
LeBron?
now?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sitting here watching some Earl Spence.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so who do you got in that fight?
I think it's a pretty 50-50 fight. I mean, you got to be
Yeah.
fair. Both guys is mean and tough. You know what I mean? They tough guys. But they both been through some trauma in the ring, and most importantly outside the ring. So all of that you got to take into consideration. But I think with the time off, I think Earl he's more healthy than he was right before he fought Crawford. But I think his eyes may deceive him a little bit. You know what I mean? Depending on, how Tim Tszyu decide to move. But I just think it's a 50-50 fight. And if Earl could get through the first 3 rounds, like without getting hit with a big shot, I think he can pull off on Tim Tszyu. But if Tim Tszyu is landing early, Tim Tszyu might get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wonder how Errol's reaction times and his punch resistance, and again, those reaction times, you were talking about his eyes. I think that lines up with that same kind of sentiment, right, Greg?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's a more than most fights. I feel like that's a rhythm fight. Like Earl needs to get into his rhythm, and that's kind of the hardest thing when you have been fighting for 3 years, getting into your rhythm.
Yeah, true.
His jab, I think, is the big issue in this fight for Tim Tszyu. Is Tim, he likes to range find with it and then get closer to you. And I think he has better hand speed than Errol these days. He's a little sharper, He's got some. Just think he's got better hand speed, but the problem is his hand speed is coming at a closer distance, and he's gonna have to get through that jab. And he has a little pull game to him, like he has a little twitch. I think it's actually slept on with Tim Zoo. He has a little twitch, but he's also very hittable, and a lot of his defense is gonna come in a more basic format. And so, how does he get around that jab? How does he get to where he needs to get to get his best punches off? And Errol had one of the best jabs in boxing. Errol's bigger than him, even though
And
he
it's
has.
a volume jab too. He throws it at a pretty high output. It's fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
Tim's not really like a. I wouldn't really classify Tim as a counter puncher, but he likes to exchange.
When he was countering, it was him being confident coming forward, like on the front foot. And I don't know. I think some of that confidence at this level, not against lesser guys, that's different, but at this level, it's been taken from him a little bit. You know, um, Before he was walking motherfuckers down, and now is he gonna have that same kind of confidence and energy against or against Spence if that jab is popping in his face early and often? Like, just
Yo, Greg, what I want to know, with you being there in Philly, man, how's Cool Boy looking, man? Because he's in a really interesting crossroads fight, and he didn't make weight last time out against Shock Foster, which was disappointing. Is he gonna be ready for this one?
I think he gonna be ready, but from what I saw, his mentality is like more of a he just want to fight.
Mm.
Like he just want to fight. So I think this gonna be an interesting fight because that guy,
Liam.
Liam Wilson, is it? Or Liam?
Yep. Liam Wilson. Yep.
Yeah, he not really like trying to box you too much. He keep his hands up high, and he'll work you with a jab a little bit, but he trying to get you and beat you up. And Cool Boy, this camp look like he trying to do the same thing. So I think we just in for a good war.
Yeah. He's been in a lot of wars, Stephen Fulton.
Hmm.
So you think at this stage he can take that kind of fight again, because he's been through the gauntlet from, like, even when he was a prospect, when he was fighting, like, what was it, Joshua Greer and Adam Lopez, Angel Leo, Figueroa, Danny Roman. I mean, he's been, in a way, he's been
Yeah,
through it.
yeah. I mean, it's mentality, man. Some guys' mentality level is like longer than others. Like, you know what I mean, some guys could do that shit all their life, and some of them they have a deadline.
what
Okay.
happened to his mentality when you really had something to prove to shut everybody up in that Figueroa rematch, and
Hmm.
then just the next time, like, doesn't even make 130, kind of cut. Like, how did he go from turned on mentally like that to then having that kind of letdown against Shock?
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, guys from like where he's from, in Philly, you don't really see yourself making it.
Mm.
So when you make it, it's kind of like hard to like still be hungry.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People think that sometimes when guys talk about the inner city or where they from, they trying to like uh get some type of like recognition for saying that it's tough. Philly is fucked up. I, I don't I don't know no other way to say it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Philly's fucked up. So when somebody makes it out of Philly, it means a lot because it's really hard to do. So I think when you look at a sport like boxing, where you got to be at your best physically and mentally, that's hard to maintain when you now living a life that you never really imagined.
Do you
Yeah.
think he was a little satisfied, a little content, and say, like, all right, I
He's
proved these
living life
motherfuckers
now. You
wrong.
in Miami on the
I won that
boats.
belt again. Yeah, like,
Yeah, because you going from growing up where you feel like your life is on the line every day, and then it's like now I can just eat whatever I want, or I can buy whatever I want, or I can go do whatever I want. It's a different lifestyle.
Greg, if I'm not mistaken, you're from Germantown, right? You're from that part of Philly.
Yeah,
What part of Philly is Stephen Fulton from?
North Philly and West Philly.
North Philly. Okay. Yeah, North
You
Philly.
know how
I
you, so
I
some
was
people say, how is that possible? Like, well, your mom is from one side, your dad is from the other. So you
Correct.
grow up in both sides.
You go to maybe your mom or dad's house on a weekday or weekends, and you
Yeah,
kind of just alternate.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's where B Hop was from, right? Right,
Yeah,
Greg,
Germantown,
Germantown.
North Philly. Germantown and North Philly, yeah.
Oh, so that's where Germantown is in North Philly.
No, Germantown is above North Philly, but Bernard was from Germantown and North Philly. Like
Oh,
he
okay,
spent
gotcha,
time,
gotcha.
you know what I'm saying?
So, Greg, I remember when I went down there in 2022 at Philly Boxing 101. Is that North Philadelphia?
That's Frankfurt.
That's Frankfurt? Okay.
Frankfurt is like an island.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they had a lot of people from Germany in the early days of Philly, man. Germantown, Frankfurt,
Germantown,
like
Frankfurt.
That's funny as shit.
yeah, because you know my last name is German, Greg. You know what it means too, right?
No,
Lazy peasant.
for real.
Oh shit.
Zittel means
So that was like something somebody made up.
But so my story is, you know, I had to have a great, 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 great something that was piping the king's wife and
Mm.
piping her good. So once the king got word of it, he said, your whole lineage now, because you did some shit like that, is now going to be called the lazy peasants. That's my spin on it. You know,
Yeah,
we
that sounds crazy.
That's wild. That's crazy.
because I don't
That's
think
So
we
funny.
volunteered for that shit.
No, for
nah.
sure.
So Greg, it's been a few weeks since the Boots fight, man. How you feeling about it now, and Boots being unified champion again, and then I guess just now the whole 54 division, the whole Virgil situation with Golden Boy, all that stuff. How do you feel about all that?
I mean, I think far as Boots getting the win over Xander, we here's the thing about Philly. We very realistic when it comes to everything. And what I mean is we know that that wasn't the best win that you can get, but that was a good
Mm.
win. We know
Mm-hmm.
that that's a good win. We do know that. But
It's
that's not
quality.
the best win. So we don't get all like riled up like, "Oh man, he beat King Kong." We know that wasn't King Kong. But where the satisfaction comes from is we've been trying to tell people for years, like this bull, he gonna make you fight, man. He gonna put you through hell. And if you don't prepare for hell, then there's no way you'll be able to make it 12 rounds with him. You know what I mean? So the little bit of satisfaction is seeing other people start to see it, start to understand it, and to see him flourish a little bit and start to do more interviews and things like that, start to open up, speak a little bit about his story. You know what I mean? But we understand also there's more work to be done. You know what I mean? Fundora, Josh Kelly, and Virgil. Virgil, but I think Virgil, that situation is bad, man.
Yeah.
I ain't even gonna lie. I feel like that's a bad luck type of situation. I feel like it's just not gonna happen. For some reason we didn't get the Stanley Onis fight, and then now it's like they're going through the same thing with Boots. It's all this extra stuff. It's a lot of business getting involved, and it was crazy because you could clearly see that the promoter and the manager wasn't on the same page, and then now everybody's pretending to be on the same page, but I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
they still. You know what I mean? It's just
It,
too much with them.
I was saying
well,
earlier they got to land the Fundora fight now.
correct.
Virgil
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
Virgil, this is third weight class. He hasn't even fought for a world title yet. It's approaching 30. Never been in a championship fight.
yeah. I mean, it happens when guys. I think when you in the business where you kind of care more about a guy being famous than actually getting some shit done, you know what I mean? That it can backfire. And I think that's what happened. I think they were trying to force fame on Virgil. Oscar De La Hoya was speaking about Virgil as if Virgil was Canelo, but he wasn't ready yet. It didn't happen. So I think the way you get a kid like Virgil there is you got to get him the fights. You got to get him the fights because he doesn't even look like Canelo. And what I mean is Canelo is popular partially because of his looks. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
He's from Mexico.
He's redheaded.
Yeah,
He's pure Mexican.
See,
Like,
it's funny.
yeah,
People try to hit us with the pause if we say a kid's a good-looking young kid, but they don't know. Classically, in boxing talk, all the way back to the 30s and 40s, they would say he's a good-looking prospect. He's a good. That's called part
he
of the
had
marketability.
the
People, right,
look.
Greg? You
right,
know what I mean?
right,
Like, come on now. Yeah.
right. And I don't think Virgil carries the same thing when you're talking about Canelo. Like if you try to compare him, you know what I mean? So Virgil is the guy that got to put the work in. So De La Hoya shit has just really kept him active. But now it's kind of like hard to get him in position. You know
Greg,
what I
I
mean?
think Oscar though was, I think Oscar was just like talking, trying to talk his kid up. So when you get to the negotiation talk, you go high, you go low. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was more what really happened was Rick was trying to backdoor him to Zufa.
Yeah.
Yep. Cut about the deal.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that too though. And that's I mean, but and that's why these young fighters they got to learn. These people that you signing with, a lot of times you getting to meet them as you're a professional. You don't really know these guys. The only people you know from some years in is like your trainers and shit. So when you start meeting these promoters and you start meeting these managers, you gotta ask them questions too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get to know them too. You gotta kind of get in their business too. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because you gotta figure out what kind of person you dealing with. Because now you putting your career in this person's hands and they just all over the place.
And
You know what I mean?
they all do a great job at first of selling you a dream and all that stuff. And you don't really get a chance to meet the promoters and the managers really until you get some time in with them. But by that time, if you're locked into a contract, now your career is in a bad position.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, they selling them some shit they can't even see right away, and it's bad.
You think,
Correct.
yeah, and it's funny. Earlier, you were like, basically, it's like because Kobe was from Philly, and he's like, the job's not finished, right? When he was up in the finals, and that's what it was reminding me of when Greg said Philly is still like the job's not finished. Good win against Xander Zayas, but we still. You said King Kong. I think Sebastian Fundora is more like Ghidorah. I don't know how much Godzilla movies you guys watch, but Ghidorah was the one with the long three heads and the
Yeah.
long
Mm.
necks on those three. He still got
Yeah.
to fight Ghidorah. But yeah, man, you think Breadman gave a great breakdown on both of them. He thinks Virgil is a longer distance fight. It's the toughest fight, and he thinks he's picking Boots to beat the field, and I agree with him. But he thinks Fundora would be like a 3 round Hagler Hearns type shootout,
Mm.
and Boots would win that, in a shootout. But do you think Virgil would beat Fundora? Like, who do you think is the
Yeah.
toughest fight
Who?
for Boots?
I think the toughest fight is Fundora because of what he brings to the table. You don't see that every day. I mean, you don't see a guy who's 6'6" who can sit inside and throw an uppercut. You know what I mean? It's guys that tall that won't even try to throw an uppercut. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think because of things like that, it just makes it awkward and makes it a hard fight just
He's
because
got
of how he's built.
real dense bones too. So if you get hit with a shot the wrong way, your eye orbital bone is broken. Your eyes start closing up before you expect it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely Fundora. You know what I mean? But you just never know.
One of the main things that you kept bringing up, Greg, going into the Zayas fight was the pace that Jerome Ennis fights at.
Hmm.
Um, how big of a factor is that in matches with Virgil and Fundora, and do you feel like he could impose his pace on those guys?
I think that's what's going to happen to most of the guys
Yeah.
because what I know from watching fighters don't even really train that hard.
Mm,
Everybody got a different training methods. Like you got
right.
guys who hit the bag and they'll have their trainer explaining things to them every step of the way. So they hitting the bag hard, but the pace is kind of slow because you stopping and listening to instructions. Or you might have a guy who's he just tapping the bag just to go through the motions, just to say I did my rounds. Boots is giving you 150% every round, even if it's shadow boxing, even if it's jump rope. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, he gonna give you 150. It's gonna be hard for those guys to keep up because them giving 150 is not natural to them. To Boots is natural for him to give 150. So it feels more normal for him to be fighting at a very high pace when these guys, are looking for spots to breathe, looking for spots to slow down, looking for spots to think. You know what I mean? And they just won't have it.
Greg, I don't
Okay.
think respectfully as always, of course. I don't think it's going to come down to a pace issue for those two, though. I think Honduras training hard in the mountains. I think they both fight at high paces themselves. I just think for Boots wins because of just the overall talent, the shit you see in the gym all the time,
Versatility.
the versatility, the speed, the reflexes, just the ridiculous talent that he has. And but I don't think it's gonna be a pace issue though. Those guys fight at a pretty good volume themselves.
So I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. These guys don't train. All right, they don't have nobody in the camp that's putting their life on the line. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, like they're not being pushed to the point where somebody is really trying to get off on them. I can tell. I can tell because every fighter got like little moves they do where they take a break. Fundora, when he got caught by
Mendoza.
when Mendoza, if you look at that fight again, right? Mendoza threw a set of combinations. He stepped back. Fundora looked up. He looked up first, like to take, like that was like his break. And then when he went to punch, he dropped his left hand. That's because he
Mm,
not used to nobody shooting back with him, like firing with him at the same time. So when he got caught with that shot, he just ain't see the shot. You know what I mean? And he was being lackadaisical. That comes from not having somebody throw when you throw. You get what I'm trying to say? Virgil is always the bully.
mm.
When we saw with Boachuk, when he wasn't the bully, he ended up going down twice. So now I'm saying you gonna get that, but you're gonna get it with some style. You're gonna get it with some accuracy. You're gonna get it with some speed. You know what I mean? You're gonna it's just gonna get bad. I'm telling you.
What about Bud? What if as a Bud? I don't think I don't think it's gonna
It's not
happen,
that's not
but
happening, but
it's
it's cool.
not. I don't say never because I do think Bud is so competitive that if Boots in the next 12 months
Well,
becomes undisputed or something like
and
that, like you
Bud
never
hasn't been
know.
retired for a year yet either. It's only been like what 9, 10 months.
I can even
Yeah.
see him getting a little bored. Like this commentary shit is cool, but I don't love it as much as Sean and Tim do on the broadcast. Like I still kind of my
Yeah.
hands get a little itchy watching this shit sometimes. Like I can see that being the case for Terrence. So I would I respect Terrence. He has nothing to prove. All that it is not something he needs to do for any other reason other than he would want to. But
Just
like
because.
you said Philly's realistic about it. How would you like your guy in that fight?
Now remember when you said Breadman said that Fundora and Boots would be like Hagler Hearns? I think Bud and Boots would be like Hagler Hearns. The reason I think that, everybody knows how tactical Bud is. But every time you seen Bud really had hands put on him, it was early in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you better get him. If you don't get him in the first 4 rounds, then you're gonna have a hell of a night on your hands. You understand?
Yeah.
Boots being a high-paced fighter, Bud being the athlete that he is and the marksman that he is, they gonna get right to it. They both know. I guarantee they both know that about each other. If they
Yeah.
got in the ring with each other, they would get right to it because that's a fight you can't bullshit. You can't get caught on no bullshit. So I like you, Sean. I feel like Bud will get bored and possibly try to come back because he's too much of an animal to just let the game go away like that. And
Correct.
on top of that, no disrespect, but he got kids, bro. When you got kids, you got to keep the paper rolling in. Of course, you can get the commentating money. Of course, you can buy real estate. Everybody, the same old story. But that shit is boring. That shit is boring.
He's a
When you
fighter.
look, when you love the fight, that's what you want to do. So yeah, I could see him coming back, and that to me is the best fight in boxing in a long time.
I
Yeah, it
know.
would be something special we haven't seen in a long time, BT.
Yeah,
Like that Tony McCallum, Ray Leonard, Tommy Hurt, like that.
we used to talk. Me and Sean used to talk about that fight all the time in 2023. We I don't know how you
2022, 2020 what?
2022. I remember when even though Spence had 3 of the titles, I felt by the time the fight rolled around that actually it was Terrence Carr versus Joe Ennis that was the real #1 versus #2. I don't know if you feel the same way, Greg, but
Hold on, I gotta get one story off
go
because
ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
felt that way so strong. Look, again, shout out to Arrow, man. Like borderline Hall of Famer, everything, man. But I felt even arguably Virgil, by the time Crawford Spence actually came off, was, even though he had no accomplishments to his name like Errol Spence, even arguably Virgil was a bigger threat. But Boots for sure. I was saying, I have a tweet in 2021 saying Boots beat Spence in 2021. But anyways, the story is Terrence is getting his he's finishing at the Apex Center his public workout, his media workout for the Spence fight. And Bernie the boxer pulls up on me like, "Hey man, like, what's with this Boots shit? Like you keep pressing as a narrative like Bud doesn't want to fight Boots. Man, Bud offered Boots the fight on the BLK last year and he didn't want blah, blah, blah." And I'm just like, "Look, Bernie, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I know what's about to happen. I got Bud by knockout all day. I think he's gonna win by knockout. I'm keeping it straight with you. I think the tougher fight right now, the real fight, is Jaron Ennis." And I was like, I get it. Jaron, it's not the bigger fight. It's not the undisputed fight. But I'm like, but boxing. Boots is the biggest threat to Terrence Crawford right now, not Errol Spence. And it got a little bit of friction. And, thank God, Bernie, with all his amateur experience, it just stayed, verbal and everything. I'm not being a tough guy or nothing
Yeah, yeah.
about it, but I did stand on it. I was like, bro, Bud's gonna knock Spence out, and Boots is the fight now.
What was that analogy Sean used to use? Like Bernard Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor back in the day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I wanted to talk to Greg about that before he got out of here too, because it was
Yeah.
just the 21st anniversary. My time yesterday, your guys' time 2 days ago. So I definitely want to talk to Greg about Bernard and Jermaine Taylor in a minute. But yeah, it was. I just said, look, like that's what made Bernard different than everybody else was not Floyd Mayweather, not Canelo. Nobody would take that Jermaine Taylor fight against a 26-year-old, big, strong, athletic, next up. I mean, the fight was called Next in Line.
Yep.
The next in line for Bud is Boots. And yeah, but go ahead, Greg. I talked long enough. Sorry,
Go.
brother.
No, I was just listening, man. I mean, Sean, that's why I fuck with you, because for the most part, I ain't never heard you like say something and not stand on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you whatever it is you say, right or wrong, you stand on that, and I respect that. So, you know what I mean? We just talking boxing, ain't nothing. You know what I mean?
YSM let me know I got Philly very mad at me for the whole. It would be bigger for boxing because Puerto Rico needs a star. They haven't had a star since Cotto. But then me and Breadman talked about it, and Bread's like, "Look, man, it's always the best man winning is what's good for the game," and I
Yeah.
ultimately agreed with that. So he made me stand off of that a little bit, but you're right. I'll stand on it. So go
Yeah, I
ahead, Greg.
mean, if you said that because you from New York, from my understanding, and you know how Puerto Rico backs their fighters. It's been a while since we had that Cotto feeling. It's been a while since we had that Tito feeling, and I'm not gonna lie, it was exciting. I mean, because they was beating dudes up. You know what I mean? But it's just we waiting for that feeling again. You know what I mean? It's
Gonna
just
have
been
to
a
keep
while.
waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. You know what I mean?
They know boxing though, Greg, because I'm telling you, they showed up to that fight and they were there for their guy. They were there to ride for Xander. But I definitely sensed from them, they knew that their guy was up against it. And I think they
Yeah,
they fuck with Boots too. I think because Puerto
yeah.
Ricans love boxing.
Oh yeah,
No, for
no.
sure.
Boots definitely won some Puerto Rican fans that night. It was super electric.
Yeah, it was a great fight overall. Overall, it was a great fight. It was an action-packed fight, and I got nothing but respect for Xander because for one, he didn't even have to take the fight. So
Correct.
thank you, Xander. And then two, he put on a show. He fought. He didn't go in there and just fold. Just fold right away. He fought. He landed some shots and he took some shots.
Yeah, he had a
You know what I
moment.
mean? And you got to be real. You got to be honestly like real when you look at it. He is a special fighter, Xander, because you know why? Not just anybody would do that to him. You know what I mean? He took some mean ass shots and kept fighting. So that let me know you got to be really on a different level, like with everything to beat that kid, especially after this fight. He gonna come back better.
I think he'll be a world champion at middleweight, probably like in the next year or so. Middleweight's pretty thin. Top Rank's probably gonna put him in great position to get a belt.
Yeah, for sure.
Not for sure. Sean,
Damn, I think I cut off a thought about Bud and Boots though. My bad.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I think I did with Greg because you asked Greg something like that. You'd been talking about that fight for a few years, and then I had to ramble on my story and shit. And I hope I didn't cut off something Greg was gonna ultimately get to. That's all.
No, I was chilling.
Okay.
Yeah, no. If Bud and Boots fight each other, I don't think either one of them is trying to make it a fight of adjustments. Like it's gonna be. I would tend to agree with Greg. I think it'd be a shootout. Both guys. Terrence is a master counter puncher, and Boots likes to rumble. So I think the styles mesh really well.
No, for sure. I'm telling you, I mean, I've been saying it. Star Wars, that's the best fight, man. That's the best fight to me. We ain't seen nothing like that in a long time. And the reason is like it would be so exciting if they made it is because you never seen you haven't seen in a while two guys that dominant. I'm gonna tell you probably the closest thing would be probably be Bivol and Better BF. I mean, when it comes to like dominance and matching it up, I mean, that's the level that's on.
This fight would have more sauce though.
Yeah, this fight would have a lot more moments
Yeah,
because Bivol better be. They fought 24 rounds, and there was there was some high level stuff, but it didn't really deliver the moments we probably wanted.
yeah, but that's because of the respect level of the two.
Correct.
Those guys is giants. They'll
Yeah.
hurt you. You know what I mean? So even though we looking for blood and guts and all of that, man,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
still Bivol had to still make it a tactical fight. You know what I mean? Because the motherfucker hurt you. You know what I mean?
But that was like in the first fight. I remember Bivol was starting to gain a lot of momentum, and he got a little too aggressive, and better be hit him with a shot in between, and then he made it get back to his boxing real quickly. So
Yeah,
one of them kind of fights.
yeah.
Mad respect to Bivol. Even that last fight against Eifert.
Eifert.
Yeah. He there was I'm just like, man, this dude. Now, what I meant by more sauce, and I know both of you know what I meant, like more pull counters, more head off the line counter punching, hand speed, crazy,
More dynamic exchanges, pretty much.
dynamic, yeah, all that. But there's like a perfection to Bivol's style, with just how everything is sharp and how much he draws that line in the sand with his distance and the you know what I mean? Like even
Yeah.
against Eifert where it's like 12 one-sided rounds, the fight's not really that good, but I'm like, damn, this dude is like perfect at what he does.
He
There's a
mastered
perfection.
he mastered the Soviet style.
Yeah. Yeah, and shit, his hand speed too. And yeah, man, I can't help it. Even and then Shakur too, who I've had my back and forth with about. He's like, you really didn't think my shit against Teofimo was a masterpiece? And I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. I remember Bernard against Tito. Your man Crawford against Spence. Like those are whooping someone's ass from all three ranges, counter punching, swimming without getting wet, dropping them, stopping them. Like Ward
Hmm.
against Kovalev in the rematch. But that being said, I was finishing my workout. I'm like, let me look up some Chad Dawson because I really liked Chad Dawson back in the day.
Hmm.
And I'm watching Chad Dawson when he beat Thomas Adamek.
That was a
And
great fight.
yeah, man, Chad Dawson was really nice. Like he was under. I really liked Chad Dawson.
Hmm.
But I was like, damn, I might need to like at Shakur and give him some props because I'm like, because he was a southpaw like Shakur and sharp, but it like his balance compared to Shakur and his management of distance compared to Shakur's on another level. And it just for a minute made me appreciate Shakur because I'm like, Chad Dawson was really good. Like he was that and I'm like, yeah.
Wasn't he on the power list at one point? I could be wrong, but I feel like he was probably in the lower part of the yeah.
From like I know Bernard. I mean, Bernard's my favorite fighter ever, and he beat Pascal, who beat Chad. But I would say overall, from like 2006, 2007 to 2013 or so, Chad was probably the best light heavyweight overall in that era. Like, and I'm just like, man, compared to Shakur, he's like falling off balance on some of his pivots, and he's not dominating every inch of his range like Shakur. It made me have to put some respect on Shakur that much more. Like
Well,
the difference between someone like Shakur and an excellent fighter like Chad Dawson.
well, because Shakur mastered his style the same way Bivol mastered his style. When you get fighters that really master a style, they're gonna outclass guys that are not anywhere close in level to them. So you're gonna get the boring fights. It's kind of like reminds me a lot of like in a sense Rigondeaux. If you get Rigondeaux in there with guys he's way better than, he's gonna have some boring ass fights. But when he had guys that could make him fight, he gave you some good fights. He broke dudes' jaws. So it's the same principle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shakur would beat Tank with me. Tank with the like just because
I
Tank
mean,
fights at such a slow pace that jab is gonna bank rounds. And I mean, Tank, you could argue is faster than him, is super coordinated and punches harder. Like, but I mean, I'm talking about Tank when he was really Tank. I don't even know if that guy is still around with all the shit that's been going on. Which
I
thing, Greg?
mean, I mean that's why we have to see fights. Cause
Correct.
Tank would, if Tank wasn't special, he wouldn't be Tank. And Shakur, if he wasn't special, it wouldn't be, a thing. The Shakur being the sharpest, I agree. But Tank has a style that'll make your mind go crazy because without being hit by him, you already know he can hit. You know what I mean? He can hit you. He could put you in a state of delusion. He hit you in your shoulder, and he might make you think your shoulder's broken. You know what I'm saying? He got that kind of pop. So I don't know how Shakur reacts being in there with him. You know what I mean? With 8-ounce gloves on. When you say you sparred a guy, that's cool. Cause you got the headgear on, the bigger gloves, and you take more chances. In an 8-ounce game, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we've seen Shakur, kind of cower away from guys like Jeremiah Nakatilia, Emmanuel Santos. So Tank could give him PTSD of those fights, and
Yeah,
I would say he's more athletic than those guys.
He might be more athletic in some areas than Shakur. He
yeah,
Yeah,
could be.
maybe, yeah. And that's what Calvin was trying to say when he was like, he needs somebody to make certain things come out. That's true. When you fighting certain guys and you winning off a jab, there's no need to go into a deeper bag. I'm beating them off the jab.
yeah, it's
I'm
easy.
gonna run. I'll run them into a left hand or a right hand, and the fight will be over. But then there's some guys who could keep up with you every step of the way, and now you got to be creative. You know what I mean? Are you going to be creative or are you going to shut down? That's what you know what I mean. That's what we need to be able to see.
The shit he was pulling out in that clip with Gary Antoine was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They
How
were
about the
rumbling.
sparring clip
Yeah,
where he's on
Yeah,
the
with
ropes?
Shakur.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
bro,
yeah,
he
yeah.
was ripping in the pocket. And I know, like Greg just said, that's also with headgear on and 14, 16s on, but still.
No, but no, different fighters are gonna bring different things out of you. And Greg knows this being in the gym. Like certain fighters are gonna make you go to a different place in camp because you got to be sharp with everything.
For sure.
Greg, did you hear that Adrian Broner song with Being the Great?
When they were talking about what's his name, DDG or some
Fuck
shit.
DDG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I saw that shit.
Bro, the Who is Ka ad lib is one of my favorite ad libs in a long time. From when
Yeah.
Broner, I know the
Yeah,
fuck is the moneymaker. Like, that's the one everybody's doing, but I die more off how Adrian said, who is Ka? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I can't do it justice.
Real shit.
When they went to see Mike Epps and like, okay, so I try to lean on the harsh side sometimes to be a truth teller, whatever. And I'm like, these guys could be a good, shitty PG-13 comedy. I was wrong. They're a legitimately good R-rated comedy.
No.
They,
Yeah, that shit is hilarious, man. I ain't gonna lie.
yes.
No, they're killing the game right now.
Yeah,
When they,
for
What,
sure.
I told
Greg?
Brendan,
What?
I said, we might have to be less inhibited, bro, and just act a fool on stream sometimes to get our numbers going. Like we gotta.
Yeah, like we might have to get into the streaming game, Greg.
No,
What you
real
think?
shit.
What you think of these fighters streaming? I feel like you would kill it in the streaming game because you're one of the most entertaining people out there.
I'm just more private than people really realize. So I mean,
Same.
following me around and shit. Like I ain't.
Yeah.
Because it gets out of control. Like people will stream themselves sleeping,
Yeah,
weird shit like
yeah,
that. Like
yeah. I think that's crazy. I mean, I fell asleep on live a few times, but it wasn't
but
on purpose.
but yeah, no, that's an accident though. I'm talking about deliberately having a camera pointed at your bed and people watching you catch Z's for 8 hours, and then you wake up and then you do what you do the rest of the day and you stream that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yo, but when they saw Mike Epps, um, and Adrian was like, "That's the nicest way anyone's ever thrown me out." And Mike Epps was like, "I could do it the other way." Like that shit was so funny. He actually, Mike Epps was like, "How's it going back?" Like he's trying to be serious with it. He's like, "How's it going back in Cincinnati?" He's like, "Oh, people hating, trying to kill me." And Mike is
Hmm.
just like, "This fucking dude, this dude is wild." Like I don't know. I love it, man. I'm happy for Adrian. BT will tell you. I used to say years and years ago, I'm like, I wish this dude could find a way in Hollywood in the entertainment business, and now he's
Oh, he
finally
he found it. No, he
there. Yeah.
found it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all you gotta do is stick to something. You stick to something, it'll work.
It'll work out.
He
Greg,
shouldn't
how
fight again.
Greg, how's the training side? I know you got a fight coming up soon, but how's the training aspect going for you? Like training fighters.
It's cool, man. It's just boxing is real political.
Oh, it's the
You know what I
worst.
mean? So I see sometimes people in the comments like, "Well, who does he train? And when are they going to get a chance? And how come he not training bigger fighters?" And like, bro, time does what it wants. You know what I mean? Because it keep going. So when the time is right, it'll happen. I'm not sitting here like wishing that I was working with certain people. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm out of Philly, so you know what I mean? Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, there's always going to be fighters coming in and out of Philly, so you always have people to train.
For sure.
Yeah. So Greg, like people that haven't been to Philly, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe like, just the culture of Philadelphia boxing gyms? I know we always hear how tough it is, but like if somebody's never been there, how would you best put it in your own words? What's the Philly boxing culture like?
I mean, one day, all right, so anybody that knows Kenny and Calvin out of Baltimore, they got they got an army of guys, man. They got like little kids, they got grown men, they got retired guys, like they got all kinds of people just coming through their gym. And one day, they was like, Greg, we coming up the box. And it was only one kid from my gym that was like there that was able to box. So I got on the phone, I called like three coaches, and they brought guys over. So Philly is like you can get what you're looking for. You know what I mean? You might not get it from one spot, but you can get what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Everybody, they brought about seven guys up that day, and everybody got sparring. So I was able to get on the phone, call other coaches, and they pull up with their guys just on a random. You know what I'm saying? And dudes came down to work. So that's like, that's Philly. However you want it, you can get it. You know what I mean? You might have to wait a few minutes, but it can happen for you. You know what I mean?
Who do you think is Philly's? I mean, right now it's Jerron, but like, who do you think is Philly's guy all time? And you would like, I would think Bernard or Joe Frazier or something, but I also would be surprised to hear it's Meldrick Taylor. Like, who's their favorite fighter? You think in their history type, like in
I
the gyms
mean,
these days?
Bernard is the guy you gotta respect. You gotta respect him. But he's not. Bernard wasn't a man of the people.
Is what I've
Joe,
I've heard that. I've heard Philly don't really like they don't really fuck with Bernard like that because he don't come back and show love.
well, Bernard don't fuck with Philly like that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So he's not really a man of the people, but as a fighter, he is like one of the greatest to ever touch the gloves. You know what I'm saying? But Joe was more of a man of the people.
Joe
You
Frazier,
know what I
yup.
mean? Joe would come to amateur shows and coach. Sometimes he would just be there to watch. And he would never shy away from a handshake or anything like that, or a picture or autograph. Things I didn't see things like that from Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier, he showed love, you know what I mean? And you had to respect that. So I mean, I would go Joe, you know what I mean?
One of the guys I know, 'cause I've seen pictures of you with him on your Instagram. One of the guys I knew you grew up around was Jolton Jeff Chandler, great bantamweight,
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
bantamweights of all time. Talk about him for a second, because I feel like he don't really get the respect universally, even though he's in the Hall of Fame. Boxing fans don't really know about Jeff Chandler like they should.
Yeah, I mean Jeff. I met Jeff when I was probably like 12 years old, man, and I just thought he was a guy. I didn't know. I had to get educated on him.
Yeah.
I thought he was a guy. You know what I mean? My coach explained to me who he was, and then I had to do some homework on him. And I got some tapes given to me, some VHS tapes. I had to go home and watch them. And Jeff Chandler was the nicest guy, man. Like one of the nicest, coolest. Like his mannerisms was like kind of silly at times. He loved to laugh. Jeff Chandler
Yeah.
loved to laugh, but he was a killer. I say that because even though he was a fighter and he was retired, I remember in high school one year a kid was fucking around with him on the avenue, and he
Yeah.
knocked the kid out, and 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 I was like, oh shit, like you know what I mean? That's Jeff Chandler, like you know what I mean? What else would you expect from a former world champion? You know what I'm saying? And you playing in his face. He didn't ask for much. He didn't want much. He was a good dude. You know what I mean? He had his house. He had his kids. He was cool. You know what I'm saying? He was just a cool ass old head. You know what I mean? But real funny. He made the gym fun. When you was in the gym with Jeff, he made it fun, and he always talked about a liver shot. He always talked about giving out liver shots. You know what I mean? That he was big on that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a lot of fun around Jeff Chandler, man. Great
Not.
dude.
He's a great fighter. One of my favorite fights, low key, is I don't know if you've seen this fight with him and Johnny Carter. It was like the Philadelphia
Yeah,
bantamweight title fight.
yeah,
I like that fight a lot.
yeah. He had went. It was crazy because he had went to school with Johnny Carter, and
Yeah.
I think Johnny Carter was boxing before Jeff, and Jeff kind of got into boxing like a little like after school, like after high school, and but Jeff ended up being the favorite.
You
Yeah.
guys are putting me on. I can't even lie. I didn't know nothing about this shit.
No, Sean, I'm telling you, Jeff Chandler's the truth. He's one of the all time like top. He's a Hall of Famer. He's the one of the best bantamweights of all time from Philly.
No, for sure.
I'm sleepy. I did show Brendan that Bernard Hopkins, Antoine Eccles too, though. I put Brendan on too. Okay, I'm not a slouch.
Antoine Eccles, yeah. Antoine
but
Eccles he hated Bernard.
that I love that fight because Bernard Hopkins showed the world how to really be dirty, like how to really
With
be a
craft,
grimy in the pocket.
I mean, you know what's so crazy though? What I respected about Bernard? Bernard showed you like the referee is not really there to help you. Like he's there to help you, but he's like not really there to help you because if you don't get off, the other guy get off. You know what I mean? The other guy do that to you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you got to do what you can while you in there because it's a lot happening. You know what I mean? In a short amount of time, and a lot of people can't see it. You know what I mean? So it's still a fight. So you better get off before he do. You know what I mean? So if it's looked at as dirt, it's dirt, but it's a fight. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
am I gassing it too much, or I really because Bernard and Terrible Morales, those are my two guys. Those are my favorite fighters ever, and I feel like Bernard is a little underrated. I think it's no coincidence he by far is the oldest champion in boxing history. And I feel like yeah, Floyd was better than him overall. Someone like Roy at his peak was better than him overall. But I feel like I've never seen a fighter as crafty and as skilled as Bernard at the same time. I mean, yeah, he would be his balance maybe wasn't as perfect as a Shakur or Bivol like we were talking about earlier, but I never seen a fighter with that much nuance and subtlety and craftiness to him. I mean, he had so many tricks up, so many little beautiful things that he did, and I still think like the Trinidad fight is the most like the most beautiful performance of my lifetime, arguably. I mean, that thing's a masterpiece.
That's the first fight I ever watched ever in boxing.
Right.
That
So
fight.
I don't know, Greg. Like even his shoulder roll gets slept on, like because James Tony and Floyd they have that more iconic look and style to it, but Bernard, man, like he used to have his lead hand all the way down by his knee sometimes. And I'm
Yeah,
like, yo, you gotta have balls to trust your defense like that. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's not even at the midsection; it's all the way down, and he's just tucking his chin, right hand. What do you break it down to me, Greg? Like, just how special Bernard as a technician, as a yeah,
Well, I don't think people realize how much of a character he is. He
Mm.
he he would go in there and literally fuck with your mind. And I say that because that's why when you brought up Jermaine Taylor fight earlier, I got what you were saying. Because Jermaine Taylor didn't give a fuck about Bernard.
No.
And Bernard, and that's why he beat Bernard. One reason. And he, of course, he was more active. He was younger, and he was wild, and he was tall. You know what I mean? He had long arms. But the average motherfucker going there with Bernard, he gonna control him. He mentally would get to you during the press conferences, during the weigh-ins, things like that. Then when you get in there with him, he slow the fight all the way down to where it almost don't feel like a fight. And the next thing you know, he uppercutting you, and then it might be a headbutt behind it, or it might be a hook with an elbow, or he might grab you by the waist and then slam on your ribs or slam on your hips, or in a clinch, he might punch on your legs. You know what I'm saying? It was things he just did, man, that he understood. Like my dad used to say, skullduggery. Like when you get in the guy's brain and then you controlling their brain, there's nothing they can do to you. And Bernard was great at that. And I feel like with the hard work, the dedication, the skill set, and all of that, when you put all that together, it didn't look the prettiest because it's coming
No,
from middleweight. Middleweight isn't a pretty division, but it was nasty. It was fighting. That's fighting. You know what I'm saying? And people don't get that. I don't understand where we fighting for our lives and somebody's like, "Oh, he's fighting dirty." You're like, bro, it's a
the fight.
fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Even because I'm gonna tell you this, a lot of times when people get hit in the back of the head and stuff like that, it's not always on purpose. It's
No,
because I'm launching this missile and wherever it lands, it lands. You know what I'm saying? Once the shit leave the launching pad, it's gone. I can't bring it back. You know what I mean? So we in Philly, you get hit low, the instructions is always return the favor. You know what I'm saying? That's how I learned it. And that's how I give it out. A motherfucker hit you in the back of your head. You might not have to do it right away, but get that shit back. Let him see what that shit feel like. You know what I mean? So Bernard was kind of the guy. I'm gonna get to it first. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna slow the fight down, and I'm gonna put your mind in a fucked up place. He might even have you so mad at him that you forget the game plan. You know what I'm saying? Bernard was good at that. Then it got to the point where he was a veteran. He doing push-ups in between rounds. You know what I mean? He doing little shit. That's just to fuck with your head, man. You know what I mean? So
But Greg,
he was
there was
just
even a part before he started slowing the pace down when he got older. He used to just get busy and beat people the fuck up. And
yeah.
I still think his
but
defense
but
is
even
one of the greatest ever too.
but
Amazing
even
defense.
but no, you're right. But even if you watch him, even when he was younger, he still was slowing the pace down. He was he
Yep.
was just he was just doing more because he was younger. But he would step out of there, walk around, take a walk, feint you. You know what I mean? Dip his head and turn the uppercut. Like he
Maul
would do a
you.
lot. Yeah, he just did a lot of shit in there, man. He just did a lot of shit in there. And that's
Yeah.
what make him a great fighter. And he was consistent. And you can't be mad at him. He got a list full of names. He got a graveyard full of names, bro, that he beat.
I want to acknowledge the super chat right quick. Shout out to my guy Sam Garcia. He says Tony Hirsch Jr. advertising for prospect of the year. Yeah, shout out to Tony Hirsch. He's been doing this thing on Super Boxing.
Yeah, yeah, quiet killer too, man. From Oakland,
Quiet killer.
son of
Yeah, I
a
remember.
pro. I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. It was hard to get him to be boisterous or open up a lot, but you could tell the kid is serious and believing now. After he upset Merriweather, he feels like he's gonna take a run at the top. So I'm good for him.
I remember like in March, I didn't even know who Tony Hirsch was, and I remember I saw him spar with Angelo Leo in Vegas for camp, and I was like, wow, who's this guy? And he's pretty good. And then I kind of knew like because I seen Robert train before, and I seen him, spar and fight a little bit. I said, this kid's probably gonna be Robert. And he did, and then he got a big knockout recently. So yeah, shout out to Tony Hirsch, man, doing his thing.
Hmm.
Zuffa matches the prospects tough, but they get the headliners 10-1 fights. That's some shit.
Hey,
That's some
Greg,
shit.
what's your take on Zuffa boxing, man? You got any thoughts on Zuffa boxing?
I mean, man, they like anybody else. They trying to let us know that they the next best thing coming. The thing is, like Sean just said, when it comes to the top guys, we ain't seen the matchups just yet. But for the lower tier guys, the 8 rounders on down, they putting on great fights. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But when it just comes to these the bigger names, it's tough to make these fights. I don't know if it's true because we never know if it's true, but I think they paying these names so much money, it's hard to find opponents. Cause now you don't want to pay the opponents. And then when you do have to pay the opponent is a guy who's seeing himself as also an A side. So it's like, damn, I gotta pay both of them 10 million, or I gotta pay both of them 50, and I don't think that's what they're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we had at one point in time it was matching with the zone coming into the fold when they first started. Then we had PBC with Al Heyman. Triller had a little moment in time when they started off. So nothing's really new under the sun. I think the real test for super boxing is going to be where they're at, 18 months from now.
Yeah.
Judge us by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But but see, this is the thing. This is what people missed about PBC. When PBC did it, they made everybody look like a star.
They did.
They made everybody look like a star. That was the thing. So every fight looked like it was a fight. It looked like a great fight. Even if it wasn't or was. You know what I mean? No matter what, they made them look good. They made
It was an
everybody
event.
look good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're
I mean,
gonna
playing
take
the same song on NBC was a little corny for every single
playing,
walkout in the
you
early days.
said playing who?
Remember, they had the theme song on NBC for
Oh
everybody's
yeah.
walkout.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, they had to. I mean, of course they had to experiment, but I think overall they did a good job at boosting everybody's profile. Now you got 5 guys saying they the face of boxing. It's not possible. You know what I'm saying? And we got to start being more realistic. And the reason we not being more realistic is because guys is like, listen, if I could keep screaming that I'm the best, it's going every day. It's going to be 10 subscribers that agree. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody's looking for the subscribers. Everybody's looking for the believers, and they'll lie to you if they have to, just to get it done.
And no one's unanimously come to the head of the pack yet, head and shoulders above everybody. So anybody
Right.
who feels like they got a crack at claiming that is taking their shot to say it. Until
Right.
someone really rises above the rest, like Canelo did, like Floyd did, and it's like, no, we know who the face of boxing is. People, guys are gonna keep doing that.
Let me ask y'all
Right.
both this: do y'all think there could be a face of boxing with like all of boxing being on the zone now? Because even though the zone is a good platform, the zone is behind a paywall. They're not the biggest platform in the states right now. Could there actually be somebody that transcends to the casual sports fan in America?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I ain't gonna lie, bro. I got a list of 3 probably, and maybe 2 because Benavidez is one of them, right? But Benavidez is at such a high weight. It's like, all right, how high can he go? Because if we asking too much, we basically asking him to be a heavyweight. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? He went right up to cruiserweight and went at one of the champions. That was amazing. Now, but it's like we got Ja Opataya, and it's like, all right, what after that? And then you telling us you might go back down to 75. You know what I mean? It's like, so I don't know how long that lasts with Benavidez. Abdullah Mason, with his heart,
yeah.
with his heart and his skills, I think he got a chance because he got a baby face, but he's a stone cold killer. He's a
He is.
stone cold killer. Boots is giving me a little bit of that Roy Jones feel. You just don't know what you're gonna get tonight. You know you're gonna get something, but you don't know what you're gonna get. So we pulling up just because we know we about to get a surprise, but we don't know what type of surprise. You know what I'm saying? And I'm being real. That's my 3.
Mm,
That's my 3.
I like it.
not a
I
bad
like
thing.
it. I like it. And I think, well, okay, real quick to answer the original question, can it still happen despite the? Remember Jeff Goldblum, Brendan, in Godzilla, or excuse me, Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
He's like life finds a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll find a way to happen
You talking about
regardless of
the
the
you
platform.
talking about the old head from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, was he in
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Jeff Goldblum. Yeah,
the tall one with the black hair.
He was in that BT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
No,
was.
okay, yeah. He remember they're all like the scientists asked him, so you think in a park full of only females they will breed? He's like, I'm saying life will find a way. So to Brendan's like, so you think on a platform that very few people in America really know about in the mainstream conscious that loses money every year, you think a real superstar can come out of that? Life will find a way, Brendan. But
Hmm.
yeah, I love that because Abdullah, I said, by the way, one thing I do like about Boots fans and every fan base in the social media era has their annoying section, their sycophants, their dick riders that, they get at me and Brendan, we say something about their favorite fighter. It could be Haney fans, it could be Canelo fans, it could be Usyk fans, it
In
could
a
be
way,
Boots, Inouye fans, right? It's across the board. Once a fighter starts to really become the guy, what comes along with it is a lot of dick riders that annoy the shit out of me and Brendan. But that being said, one thing I do like about Boots' fan base, and it's not to knock Ryan and Shakur and Devin and Tank. Like the best way I could simplify is they got like a teeny bopper kind of fan base section to them.
I like
And
Yeah.
him.
what I noticed from Boots is it's like grown men from the East Coast that are like, yo, we show up to see Boots get busy.
Who?
We know we're gonna get our money's worth, and so that's cool. Um, but Abdullah, what got me some heat before his fight with Albert is I think this kid, because he's got a 74-inch reach, because he has an exciting style like Benavidez and Boots, and because he's so young, and because he's a puncher, and because he's disciplined outside the ring, straight and narrow Muslim kid, I think he can surpass in the long run. He's not as smart and as skilled as yet as guys like Keyshawn and Devin and Shakur and Tank and all those guys. I think even at the age Abdullah's at now, we're just kind of naturally more of a fighters that knew how to set traps and had a little bit of sophistication to them. Not to say Abdullah doesn't, but I think long term his ceiling, I think he could surpass all those guys. Is that putting too much on the young bull, Greg?
I'm agreeing with you because he's starting his shit early.
Yeah,
He's letting it be known early. The only thing that can happen to that kid is a female. You know what I
ooh,
mean? I think he's smart enough to know not to drink. I think he's smart enough to know not to smoke. I don't know how he is with the females. That's not my
mm,
business, but I gotta be real. That's the only thing I feel like could stop him. Because when it comes to making matchups, he said it. I don't I got enough brothers, so there ain't nothing stopping me. And I
right.
don't care I don't care about all of that. You know what I mean? And that's not throwing a shot.
No, no,
That's the truth. Because I'm in a sport where if it has to be me or you, you're going to choose you. So I'm going to choose me. You know what I mean? I want to eat. You know what I mean? I got to take care of my family.
correct.
He's the star of the show, and he's on a great path early. So the only thing that can happen is for him to get better and smarter and sharper. You know what I mean? But what I love about him is he's not turning down no fights. He want to fight.
I mean,
So, and I think, and I'm gonna even say this: even if sometime in the future he took a L, he would come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
He give me that vibe that he would
yeah,
come back from that. He won't be like, all right, damn, I had to go fly to Africa and stay for a month and get my mind right. Nah, I took a loss to the better man that night. I got back in the gym. I had to, it's time to get busy. He just give me that type of spirit, man, and I just wish him the best.
no, he's really well grounded. I remember like 4 years ago when he came to Miami to start sparring people. I asked him, I was asking him about like certain matchups, and he said, I'm not really worried about the matchups. Boxing will dictate who I fight. Whoever is there, that's going to dictate who I fight, which is not an answer you normally hear from a young kid who's coming up in the fight game. And
Right.
he did a great, like I was there. I had the honor to be there in Ohio for the fight with Bell. and it was one of the most electric crowds I've ever experienced. They had like 10,000 people there. Toledo really showed up at Arabelle as well,
Yeah,
and he did a great number on TNT's opening broadcast. So, like to your point, he's off to probably one of the best starts we've seen from any young fighter in America in a while. All the way around the
yeah,
board, in the ring,
yeah.
out the ring, commercially.
Real shit.
I think he could beat the winner of Lamont and Zepeda.
I mean,
Ooh,
It's not easy. Like
yeah, that's a
Lamont,
large order.
it is. But I think he could do it.
I see where you're coming from, though. You're not wrong.
he
I
could.
don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think that's like actually in the cards. But I think that's the most ambitious they could get, and it would be a gamble. But without actually getting him beat, I think
Yeah.
Yeah, that don't sound like a
yeah,
top rank type of move.
no, no.
No,
I
no.
And
mean,
Lamont, wants bigger fights. He doesn't want to fight some young 22
yeah.
year old. Like, yeah,
Well, it's
I
like
mean,
say,
imagine if they did though. He would be, that's crazy.
yeah, the styles mesh really well too, because both those are both guys that like to get in the pocket and rumble with you. One guy's a volume puncher. Maybe one guy you could say loads up a bit more and can counter. Lamont does a lot of crafty stuff on the inside.
I mean, he knocks
Hmm.
Zepeda out. He would knock Zepeda out, I think. And then Roach, that's trickier, But Roach isn't a big guy, man. Doesn't have a long reach. Isn't a big puncher.
Yeah,
So it would be a gamble, but I feel like it's a gamble that if Top Rank and Mason could land it, they should actually consider doing. But I don't see it coming. I mean, I like Lamont, and Lamont is looking towards a Shakur fight or maybe Oshaki if Oshaki moves up and
Rematch.
wants to, yeah, man, like Tank rematch, Pitbull
Pitbull.
rematch, right? So, but that's just what I think for Abdullah. I think
yeah,
that's the most ambitious they could get right now without getting him beat.
Yeah.
yeah,
Would be the
If,
winner of that fight.
if Zepeda would have come to that fight, I don't think Zepeda would fight Abdullah, just because of how his promoters like Zanford Promotions they don't really put Zepeda in there with punchers. Look at his resume. He hasn't really been in there with too many punchers.
yeah,
I would favor Raymond to beat Abdullah right now, though. I think Abdullah's upside is definitely higher than Raymond's, but Raymond's underrated a little bit. Then again, though, he's got to show me he could put together performances consistently like he did against Andy. But what I saw, I mean, Greg was there. He had his guy get robbed in the co-main event, Jesse Hart.
Oh, yep.
But Raymond looked really good that night. So
no, he did. He definitely did. He looked
but
great. He looked on point.
hmm
He looked sharp. You know what I mean? But like you said, he just got to show more. He got to get more. And then he's in the dilemma because he's talking about going to 40. I think things change at 40.
Mm.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
40. He's not gonna impose himself as much.
yeah. But Robert Garcia is a great coach because Robert Garcia, what a lot of people don't know about him, they look at him, they see the name, oh, Mexican style. Robert Garcia was a boxer.
Mm.
I mean, if you watch any Robert Garcia, then you know he was a boxer. So he could teach you how to box too. You know what I mean? He'll hit that button. He'll hit that button if he have to. Yeah, he'd rather you press a guy out, but he'll have you box too if
Well,
if
look
need
at
be.
look at like Bam. Look at Bam, or even Mike Garcia, or even some of the things that Virgil does, like the way Virgil stopped looping with the angles.
Yeah.
Fernando back in the day
Fernando.
against Quartet.
Fernando. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Robert said, he told Najee, he was like, I wanna train a black fighter. Everybody thinks because I'm Mexican, I just want to train Mexican fighters, but I could train that
Yeah.
style too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone take Robert up on it, man. Like,
Yeah. And that's just a
yeah,
coach wanting to be great, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Greg? Would you want to train a Mexican fighter, or like a Latin
Yeah.
fighter, some fighter from another culture?
Hell yeah, because it shows your range, man. It
Mm.
shows, that you have an open mind. You know what I mean? Some people think, oh, you're a black guy from Philly, then that's all you know. But nah, you know what I mean? I actually, and then people don't know this about me, but like my early school years, I mean, I went to school with everybody, Russians, Asians, Africans, you know what I mean? All types of different Spanish cultures. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was in school with everybody. So, you know what I mean? I I feel connected to those people even when they don't really know. You know what I mean? I feel connected. So, and I have trained a guy. Like I trained a guy from Kyrgyzstan one time,
Ooh,
and he thought like he was like explaining to me what that is, and I was like, I looked at him and I was like, "You talking about Genghis Khan?" And he was like, "Oh shit!" He looked at me. He was like, "You know about Genghis Khan?" I said, "Yeah, I know about Genghis Khan." And then ever since he loved me. A guy named Timur Shay. You know what I mean?
okay.
Shaylazov. That was his last name. Shaylazov.
Shayla's okay. So that's real different because that's Central Asia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's like a
Way out there.
Russian. Yeah, a
Yeah.
Mongolian type
Mongolian,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg, before you get out of here, too, man, is Ryan gonna knock out Conor Ben, or you don't see it just that simple and plain?
I think to be honest, it's possible for sure. But I think Connor Ben worries Ryan a little bit that night.
Mm,
The reason I say that, Connor Ben has this look on his face like
Yeah,
almost like he's looking through you, like you're not shit. Right?
he's
And then
intense. Yeah,
and then his movement is a little offsetting. If Ryan can't time him the way he would like, then they gonna rumble.
yep.
But if Ryan could get out there and establish a jab and kind of place, put kind of been where he want him, yeah, Ryan gonna get him up out of there. But I think that's just a good fight because you're talking about two guys who go in there and their energy is gonna take over. So I think it's gonna be a good fight.
They, they're gonna want to trade.
Yeah,
yeah. My initial take on the fight with Raheem the other day, I was dismissive of Conor Ben, but
yeah,
he's explosive though. Like he does, and the two things that have given Ryan kryptonite is twitch and power.
yeah,
And he may very well show up with both of those things even at 147. And when you're describing the fight, like, well, if Ryan fights behind his jab a little bit like that, he doesn't consistently do that.
No, no.
He wants to. He just doesn't. Like even when in the Devin fight, he got off his left hook, and then a
yeah,
few times in spurts, he pressed the button where his hand speed was just overwhelming. Just run, not even really placing shots beautifully, just you know pressing the button, letting off rounds, letting off shots, and
yeah,
getting the left hook in there off the combination. But if it's like, I mean, he did it good against Barrios, but Barrios was so flat. He doesn't fight with ferocity and intensity. He's not winging heat like Conor Ben does. Like I had to, even just watching Conor on the pads, like you're like, oh shit, he is throwing some shit. Like he is
Yeah.
throwing
yeah.
some heat, but
I, I don't
I
think
don't know.
Ryan,
I still think Ryan's gonna win, but on second thought, I couldn't be so dismissive of Conor.
Right.
I don't think Ryan's gonna respect Connor either. I think he's gonna try to maybe in the first couple rounds like spam his left hook, like really get into it, like it really just establish that I am the dominant force in this ring, and that might be his undoing.
Yeah,
He shouldn't do that, but it's a big fight. Like when he fought Barrios in the first round, he let off and he got that early knockdown. And I think just his whole career from the tank fights, that fight, he likes to start fast if he can.
right. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see though. I mean, and the thing is, I think Conor Ben is a tough guy, but somewhere I see a bullshitter. I don't know why. But then it's the same with Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan, Ryan, I heard sometimes in the gym he's like, I don't feel like doing that today. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think honestly it makes for a great fight.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I
yeah,
mean?
It's like both guys you could say really, I'm not trying to discredit them, but it's just the truth. Like both guys really don't. You can make an argument. Neither guy really deserves to be in this kind of a fight.
right,
Ryan got a title shot coming off of a loss to Rolly, and then Conor Ben hasn't even fought at welterweight in 4 years. So it's
Right.
like, fuck.
Yeah.
the
But
the
they gotta
clash of
make
the Clout Kings.
right. Some
Yeah,
shit like that. Yeah.
This is like an
yeah,
example of like how they say in box, like it's not about skills, how good you are. It's how many asses you can put in the seats and eyeballs you can draw. It's that this is an example of that to me.
Yeah,
sometimes
real
you say
shit.
about a guy, this guy came up, he came up the hard way. He had to get it through the back door. that you would not say that about Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn. Like,
No,
you
to be
know,
honest,
respect to Ryan's amateur career. Like, I get it. He was
yeah,
stellar, but
Right.
like, you know what I mean? Like, to Brendan's point, he just said, like, back-to-back #1 WBC rankings off of no merit.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it's,
the WBC's had a mandatory for like over a year. I mean, nobody cares about him because he's not a big name. The Suleiman Tazoko, he beat Mean Machine to become the mandatory. The
ain't nobody
WBC,
trying to see that, bro. Shout
no,
out
no,
to the
I know. I'm
WBC.
just
They're
making a
right.
point.
Yeah.
The
No.
WBC let Pacquiao jump the line, and then they let Conor Benn jump the line, who hasn't fought in the weight class in 4 years. So, what do you want to do?
Oh shit.
I'll cut the sanctioning body some slack. Like, if you're Jack Catterall, if you're Giasov with the Rolly situation, you deserve to say this is some bullshit. But yeah, I'm down for that Rolly Tiafimo over either one of those fights. Go ahead, WBA. And then the WBC, same thing. Like, yeah, I'll watch Ryan and Connor. I'm good on Sissoko. Like, I can't even lie. I can't. Two things are true at once. Is it bullshit? Yes.
Yes.
But would I rather watch the fight that they have on the table instead? Absolutely.
What does the win mean for either guy?
If Ryan sparks him out, that's just being a star.
Mm.
Just
Yeah,
being a star.
yeah. It gives Ryan a lot of momentum to build up the Devin Haney rematch.
Mm.
And for Conor Benn, it would give him some much needed credibility because really and truthfully, Greg, Conor Benn never even won the smallest regional title in the UK, which is the Southern Area title. He never even won that. He struggled with mid-level fighters like Pete Dobson and Adrian Granados and look limited against those guys, even in those wins. So it's going to give him a lot of much needed credibility he's looking for. Because people just say that Conor Benn got to where he got to because his dad's Nigel Benn, and you know, for better or for worse, there's truth to that.
Right.
He'll shut a lot of people up, myself
Yeah.
included.
Correct.
You know, well,
Gotcha.
not really, because I'll still talk the day after the fight. But you get the point.
Both wills.
Oh shit.
So, but yeah, is that it, fellas? Well, we got anything else?
I don't got nothing else. I mean,
Man, I
is
appreciate
there
y'all for
anything?
having me.
Yeah, no, it's great having you on, Greg, for sure.
Yeah,
You
just
carried
let me
us,
know.
Greg.
Yeah.
You carried
no,
us.
no, I appreciate y'all. Y'all was rolling, man, before I got on here.
Yeah, no, I was getting on Sean's case, Greg, because like people ask me everywhere I go, we need you and Sean to collab more. So I got on him about it, and then we decided to do this today. And then we having you here was a pleasant surprise. You definitely added a lot, so we appreciate you.
No, I appreciate y'all, man, for sure. Just let me know. I got you.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
feel free to carry us on other streams whenever you have time, please.
I appreciate y'all. Get with me.
All right,
It's
Greg.
like being on a team and you just pass it to him and let him score
It's like
punches.
Iverson on the Sixers. So
Yeah.
the key
I
of
take it.
a defense, and Iverson, he takes the Sixers to the promised land.
Makes it easy.
For
Yep.
sure. I take it.
All right.
I get with
All right,
y'all.
all right,
All right.
Greg.
Take care, fellas. Have a good night.
All right, Sean.
Bet.
See you guys.
All right, guys. So, hey, hell of a stream. Shout out to Sean, Zittel, and Greg Hackett. Hell of a live, man. Definitely one of the best lives of 2026. One of the best lives. I would even go as far as say probably one of the best lives in years. So, definitely want to start getting more people on here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm gonna stay on here for like 10 more minutes because we're at 2 hours 18 minutes. I'm gonna give y'all even 2.5 hours, then I'll get up on out of here. But yeah, man, just to give you guys some programming alerts, reminders, things like that. I've been working on getting a couple interviews. One interview that I can confirm is coming. It's coming next week. I just don't know when yet. I'm gonna be interviewing the WBO president Gustavo Olivieri at some point next week. We're still pending down the date, but I got in touch with him today. For those of you that watched that stream a couple days ago when I tweeted him, he didn't get back to me on Twitter, but I got his number from somebody and I texted him and he said, yeah, I'll come on. So expect that, early next week, Gustavo Olivieri. And yeah, man, just really excited about this upcoming run of fights. We're going to be going to we'll be at the Richardson Hitchens fight with Berlanga, the Zupa card in New York. We'll be in Vegas with Sean Zittel for Zepeda versus Roach. And then, T.O. Rolly, we should be at that. We should be at we'll be at Hergovich Tama in the UK, God willing. We'll be there. Everything's booked. And then yeah, just a lot of stuff's planned. A lot of stuff is planned. So my man Vaughn Wan says great panel. Thank you. It was great. He says, how big is Sean? I think I noticed he's taller when you showed a pic on that room tour the other day. Sean's about like 6'1". He's taller than me. I'm not very tall. I'm like 5'5", 5'6", but you know, I got the spirit of somebody who's 6'5". So that's what I've been told. So yeah, no, Sean's like 6'1", but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. We're gonna be doing more of these. So make sure you guys, when Sean goes live on this channel, make sure you tell him that you really enjoyed this live and y'all want to see it again. And I'm gonna go and clip all this when I get time tomorrow. So he says, I'm gonna see you and Sean in Indy again. I never I've never been to Indiana. I want to go to Indiana. I've been to, like, I know people in Indiana, but I know Sean. I know Sean was over there doing some commentary. So I'd love to go to Indiana. I know a lot of good people from Indiana. You're a Fundora and a yes, 1,000%, 1,000%. I feel like this could actually culminate into what Sean was saying towards the build. What do you mean, champ? What you mean? By the way, tomorrow, or I should say later today, because it's now July 18th. We got Pacheco versus Aleem later on today. So I will be live after that fight. I'm gonna do my post review video, and then I'm gonna hop right on here after the fight. So I'm looking forward to that fight. You know, I've been a big Diego Pacheco believer throughout the years, probably more than most. I still think he's working some things out mentally and with his style, but I think he's gonna put it together. I think he has the right guy, Buddy McGirt, to get the best out of his 6'4", what is it, like an 80-inch reach, and you know, I'm expecting him to go in there and do a job on Aleem. Man, Joel, Joel, I'm gonna tell you right now, champ, you're gonna want to go back and watch the playback, and if you don't watch the playback, that's cool too. There's plenty of gold to clip from this live, and I'm gonna be doing that throughout the week. So we had Sean in here, we had Greg Hackett in here, we had Sean and Greg Hackett and myself for like over an hour just talking about all kinds of stuff from 154 to Garcia. It's one of them lives. I was wondering when you guys mentioned Joe, did you ever meet the big three, Joe, Ali, and Big George? So I never had a chance to meet any of them. I didn't meet Ali. I never met Joe, and I almost interviewed George, but I never, you know, it just never came together. So I never had a chance to meet. I wanted to interview George so bad because George Foreman was one of my favorite fighters from that era. But never met them. But I did meet Bo. I met Holyfield. I met Bo, obviously, as many of you guys know. Larry Holmes, Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko, Chris Bird, a lot of heavyweights. My man Chicken Boxing talks boxing. I gotta say, Charlo on that card next week. Not on that card next week. It hurts. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing Charlo. You know, there's not much boxing left in his career. You know, he's still undefeated. He's still kicking along and doing his thing. But you know, I don't understand. See, what I don't understand is this. It's a known fact because if you guys remember back when Bill Haney was trying to, when Devin Haney was getting ready to fight George, Bill Haney had a very hard time getting into Australia in the first place. And, you know, Australia, much like Japan, has a very strict immigration policy when it comes to like people who have anything on the record. So if you have things on your record and you're trying to go to Australia, it's going to be a hassle. And that's what I've heard is part of the holdup with his visa. So why would PBC even put him in that predicament? I understand, you know, they do a lot of shows and they have a relationship with No Limit Boxing. So I understand that aspect of it, but I just feel like it was a lack of self-awareness. No, Charles didn't pull out. He's having visa issues, and those visa issues are stemming from, you know, his history. Like he's got not a clean record. And when you're going to places like Australia, when you're going to places like Japan, to get in the country with not a clean record is going to be difficult. You understand? I feel like a lot of fighters have been having visa problems. Like Cordina had that problem coming from the UK to the US. Charles had that problem going from the US to Australia. It's just par for the course. That's why I feel like, and this is one of the things that, you know, I made sure, like when Angelo was getting ready to fight Kameda, I made it very known to him and his dad. I said, look, Japan is like this when you go there. And I said, look, you want to get there early. Whenever you're a fighter and you fight internationally, if you can afford to go there, you know, 2 weeks in advance. If you can even get there 3 weeks in advance, I would go there 3 weeks in advance so you can, you know, deal with any sort of problems with customs. You can deal with any sort of visa issues, and then, you know, once you get there, have time to adjust to the time zone, learn, you know, what food to eat, what to drink, these kind of things. Get your routine down over there, you know. A lot of times, and I've seen it in watching a lot of fighters go to other countries, like whether it be like going to Mexico or going to Japan or going to England. You have to get to these places and give yourself, the fighter, the trainer, the whole team, an ample enough time to prepare. So I just feel like a lot of what I've noticed in boxing is a lot of times these teams don't really understand the full like scope of what they're getting themselves into. And so that's why you got to have good people on your team that understand, like, hey, when you go to other countries, it's not like fighting where you're from. You gotta give yourself time to adjust to these things. Pacheco by decision, I would say Pacheco by decision. Pacheco has pop, but I don't look at him as a puncher. I think, you know, he's more of a boxer. I would look at him as more of like a boxer, honestly. And I feel like Aleem's crafty. He's durable. There's some things that he's working out with whatchamacallit, with Buddy McGirt. So shit, like I think it's gonna go the distance. But if he did stop Aleem, I would consider that a statement, considering that Lester Martinez, who is one of the top fighters of the division, he didn't even stop him. So that's what it is. Now, my man Joel, he's pushing for 3 hours. He wants a 3-hour stream, and I'm gonna put that in y'all's hands. What does the chat say? Do y'all want a 3-hour stream? Do you guys want an encore? You know how the artists, you know, like how Jay-Z or Coldplay or Tame Impala or Bad, whoever the hell you like that does concerts. You know, they have the encore. They want an addition. Do y'all want the encore? Do y'all want 30 additional minutes? Do y'all want to make it even 3 hours? Because we're at 2 hours and 27 minutes. So if y'all want 3 hours flat, say something in the chat or forever hold your peace. Y'all got 3 minutes. Let me know in the chat. They said cherry on top beat. Okay, so he want 3 hours. I gotta get at least 5 people to tell me they want 3 hours. Or I want dip. I'm gonna dip in a couple minutes. So come on, people. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, definitely super chat and get your questions in. You know, we're at the end of the live now. Y'all don't, if you're just tuning in, I would highly advise you to go watch the playback. We had a meeting of the minds. We had a boxing extravaganza meeting of the minds. You know, Sean Zittel, one of the best in boxing media. Greg Hackett, one of the best in terms of just like boxing knowledge. He's in the Philly gyms. He's cut from that cloth of being born and bred in the Philly gyms. You know, being around all the great Philadelphia fighters of the last, you know, 10, 15, 20 years. So you get a lot of knowledge of Greg. You get a lot of knowledge of Sean. Obviously, you get some knowledge of me as well. So overall, it was a great discussion, and I can't wait to do it again. Which other fighters do I want to get on stream? I'll tell you guys one fighter that I'm probably gonna have next week because I just got in touch with him today. Cordell Brooker. Yup, Cordell Brooker, the 54-pounder, because they're saying he's gonna fight Lars soon. That's a rumor, and I got hit up to do an interview with him a while ago, and I just never got around to it. So I'm getting around to it now while I got time before I get on the road. So Cordell Brooker, but Tony Hirsch Jr. We had Sam Garcia super chat about Tony Hirsch. I like Tony Hirsch a lot. I'm supposed to talk to Phil Hergovich soon. So I mean, there's plenty of people I know in boxing. Sean Porter supposed to get on here soon. So B-Hop is your favorite all-time fighter. He's mine too. Who's your favorite? Who's your active favorite? Well, I got a lot of favorites. Bernard Hopkins is one of my favorite fighters just because like my introduction to boxing was him fighting Tito. I was 6 years old. My dad put me in front of the TV. He said, BT, we're gonna watch Trinidad and Hopkins, right? So that was my what a first impression. But You know, if you guys really watch this channel, it's not really hard to figure out who my favorite active fighter is. I'm gonna let y'all guess. Who's my favorite active fighter? I'll give y'all a minute to guess who my favorite active fighter in boxing is. I'll give you a hint. He's on this wall. He's on this wall behind me. It's not hard. It's really not hard to figure out. Correct. This is the correct answer. The guy, that picture. My main man, 50 grand, the best featherweight, in my opinion, the best featherweight of the world. You know, and God willing, in due time, we get a chance to prove it. And I think we will. You know, people are calling for like Bruce Carrington. I want that fight. People are calling for Espinoza. I would love that fight. And you know, now the new flavor of the month. A lot of people are shouting about Omar Trinidad, which you know would be a cool fight. So I'm not worried about Omar Trinidad. But you know, if it has to come to that, it can come down to that. Oh, so you say you can't see him. So, okay, I'm going to tell you. It's right here. Look. I mean, Inoue is one of my favorite fighters. I mean, Inoue is right there. But I'm not talking about Inoue. All right? I'm talking about Angel Leo. In that picture right there. That's a picture of him knocking out Venado Lopez. And, you know, he signed it for me. And it says to my good friend BT. So, it's anybody. I'll tell you guys this. Anybody who's behind me on this wall is one of my favorite fighters. So, you got Michael Nunn right there. All right? One of my favorite fighters. Inoue right there, one of my favorite fighters. Roman Gonzalez, one of my favorite fighters. Angelo, one of my favorite fighters. Kenshiro Taraji, one of my favorite fighters. And then, yeah, those guys I would say are many of my favorite fighters. He says, "Don't you represent him? You're biased." Well, I mean, it's favorite. I mean, if it's your favorite fighter, it's everybody's favorite is their favorite. Which you mean, like your favorite's not unbiased. If you have a favorite, you're not gonna. Everybody who has a favorite fighter, you know, they like that fighter. So I mean, I'm answering a question. You asked me who's my favorite fighter right now. I just named him for you, Angelo Leo, my favorite fighter. And you know what's crazy? It wasn't always like that. I'll tell you guys this. It wasn't always like that. I've known Angelo for years, but it wasn't always like that. And I've told him this myself. He didn't become my favorite fighter until 2023. And I knew Angelo since 2020, I think. 2020, yeah, 2020. I know Angelo since 2020. But he didn't become my favorite fighter until 2023. And that was before there are certain things that he's done behind the scenes that showed me that he's really like he believes in himself. Like he don't get on here and he don't talk like a lot of these other guys do. But there's certain sacrifices he made in his career that I know most fighters aren't willing to make that showed me that he believed in his skills. And that's when I was like, you know what? This guy believes in himself. So that's actually made him my favorite fighter. But yeah, you know, Inoue is one of them. Believe it or not, people might not believe this, but I mean, Shakur Stevenson's a favorite of mine. I like Shakur. I've been a fan of Shakur for a long time. That's why I get frustrated when, you know, he doesn't. I want to see Shakur fight another boxer. I want to see him fight O'Shaquie Foster or Devin. Someone who's long, who's rangy, who could box like him. I want to see how he does with that style. Because I've seen him in there with like fighters that come right to him and allow him to counter and things like that. But I would like to see him against somebody who's long and rangy who could box too from the outside. So, you know. But yeah, Shakur, I've been a big Shakur fan. I mean, I'm a fan of a lot of guys. Ha! Ha! My man said, you look like Michael Fox. I'm a DC dude. Shout out to Michael Fox, you know, long range, southpaw, crafty guy. Been a pro for a long, long time. I don't think I look like Michael Fox, but he has glasses and he's kind of mocha. So I guess you could say that. I've never heard that before. I've never heard nobody's ever called me Michael Fox, so it's new. BT, how would you see Mason versus Pitbull go if he moved up? Abdullah Mason versus Isaac Cruz, good fight. Obviously, any fight Pitbull Cruz or Abdullah Mason's an exciting fight. Be interesting to see. I don't think we've ever seen Abdullah in there with a guy who has such a low center of gravity. I probably lean towards Abdullah, but I'll tell you this, and somebody brought it up earlier. So credit to whoever brought it up earlier. But I want to see the fight. I really want to see. If you're asking me, like, what are the fights I really want to see in boxing? One of the top 5 fights I want to see in boxing is Abdullah Mason versus Alan Chavez. That's the fight I want to see. You know, and I think it's realistic because Chavez is ranked really high. Mason's the champion. I would love that fight because of the fact that, you know, it's first of all, it's very rare in boxing when you get 2 southpaw power punchers, right? And one thing that makes Abdullah Mason exciting is the fact that he will go in there and he will look to knock you out and he will look to trade. And this makes him a little vulnerable at times. We've seen that when he fought Johan Vasquez and early in the Albert Bell fight, there were some vulnerabilities, right? So when you put him in there with a hard hitting puncher from the southpaw stance like Alan Chavez, that I thought that would create a lot of fireworks. So quiet as kept. I mean, that's a cool fight, but I would like to see the Alan Chavez fight more than that fight and more than a lot of fights in boxing. But I know that's not a big money fight. Like, who the hell is Alan Chavez, BT? He just got here. He just knocked out Madueño. But I want to see that. Am I doing another hour? I'm not doing another hour. I'm gonna go to the 3-hour mark. That's 25 minutes from now. So y'all asked for the encore 30 minutes. I'm gonna give y'all the encore 30 minutes. Hit the like button, subscribe, super chat. You know, shout out to Greg, shout out to Sean Zittel. They was here. We was cooking. Hawker Mustang said that you was late, champ. You was late. We had Greg Hackett and Sean Zittel here for like hour plus. So go back, watch the playback, and if you don't watch the playback, then just wait for me to clip all this stuff and put it out because I'm gonna be doing that like starting tomorrow. You, Sean, and Greg are my 3 favorite young dudes in boxing. None of you fall victim to gossip or disrespecting fighters. Breadman told me he respects Greg. I heard him say the same to Sean. Yeah, shout out to Greg and Sean. You know, I've known Sean since 2016. So I'm talking about I know Sean going back to the days of the Boxing Boys. Really, in fact, one of my proud achievements in boxing is I was probably like one of the first people to ever interview Sean on camera. And that's a fact. You can ask Sean that yourself, and the videos are up. So it's been great to see Sean's growth through the years. I mean, I remember I the first time I ever interviewed Greg was like 2019. And I've always had a lot of respect for Greg and what he brings to the game and things like that. So yeah, it was an honor. As far as Breadman, you know, I've seen Breadman in passing. I never really talked to him, to be honest with you, but I got respect for him. He liked one of my tweets the other day, actually. So shout out to Breadman. Great boxing mind, been in the game, trained champions, knows the sport, respects fighters, knows and really studies these fighters, and you know, awesome guy. Can't say anything bad about Breadman. Where am I from? I'm from South Florida, man. I mean, I'm from the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. I'm from a little town in between called Dania Beach. That's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. But I've been everywhere, man. I mean, I lived in New Hampshire for a little bit when I was a teenager. I lived in Texas for a little bit after high school. I lived in Vegas. Vegas. You know, I got family, you know, in the South as well. So I'm well traveled. I mean, I've been to Japan, been to England, been to Nicaragua, but I'm from South Florida. I'm from the Southern Florida area, Broward County. I'm from the land of where Kodak Black is from. If you know about Kodak Black, I'm from that area. Dang, David ain't posted. He might be depressed. Chicks F up your life. They'll be your downfall. It's true. I mean, if you're not careful, it's true. You know, quiet is kept. When the one time I was probably really ever in love, we almost quit YouTube. So I understand it. I understand it. And God willing, he's okay. I hope that TNT things keeps going well. Isn't that what you wanted for boxing, for it to be on TVs? Yes. And I gotta give TNT a lot of credit. Production was great. They're bringing that like NBA on TNT, the NBA on TNT field with Barkley and Shaq and all them guys, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson. They're bringing that to boxing, and I think that's great for boxing. It did good viewership the first show with Mason and Bell, and but mind you, that's with, you know, Bruce Carrington not having a great performance. A lot of the guys on the undercard didn't really like deliver. Scooter Davis didn't perform well either. So I think it's gonna get better with time. And yeah, that's probably out of all the things, if we're talking about the boxing and programming side of things, in an era with like Paramount Plus and Zuffa Boxing and DAZN, the thing I'm most encouraged about are those TNT shows. So I'm hoping there's so many fights that I'd love to see on TNT, and hopefully we can continue to get those. I used to manage Batave in Scotland. I managed him up until he fought George Keller Jones. Very sad. Okay. I ain't gonna lie to you, champ. You might have to put me on game. I don't even know who that is. And maybe I should know more, but I don't know everything. Shokichi Iwata has a tough fight against Eric Badillo on Monday. I think, honestly, and maybe I'm wrong, man. Maybe sometimes, maybe I believe more than I should, but people like to act like I just love all these Japanese fighters just because I talk about Japanese boxing so much. But there's Japanese fighters that I think are overrated. Yoshiki Takei I thought was overrated way before he lost to Christian Medina. Another one of those guys that I think is very overrated is Shokichi Iwata, because Shokichi Iwata had as much hype as anybody when he came to the forefront. And he's lost multiple times. And it's not so much that he lost, it's the way he lost. Because it's a lot of the fighters from that gym, from Tekken Promotions gym, they have this rigid ass southpaw style. They all lose to counterpunchers, right? Now, I wouldn't say Badillo is an outright counterpuncher, but he throws a lot of volume. And if Badillo can't hurt him, he's in trouble. And I think he's gonna have some trouble on his hands. So, shit, I'm going Badillo. Another guy from that same gym who I thought was overrated, and I picked against him to lose when he was the favorite, was Kyle Suke Takami. I picked Rene Santiago to beat him. So, newsflash to everybody out there that thinks that I'm just biased towards all Japanese fighters just because, I love the country and I talk a lot about their fighters and it's a big part of this channel's content. No, there's Japanese fighters that I think are very overrated, and he is one of them. So, yeah. Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope I would never wish that on my worst enemy, champ, with divorce, let alone two. God bless you for even the fact that you still even alive after even one of them. You got to be a strong individual. So shout out to you, champ. A chick broke my heart a long time ago, or I broke my own heart. My mom was playing tricks on me. I think I stopped believing in love. I mean, hey, we all got to go through it at some point. It's not about what did Rocky say. It's not about how hard you get hit, but how much you can keep moving. And you become better with time from those experiences. So hey, respect everybody who's dealing with heartbreak. But I think you should be honest about how women are. Like, this is not a dating channel, but just keep going. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. This is a boxing channel. Okay. So it's one of those like underground ESPN classics. There's a lot of those, man. There's a lot of great fights from in and around that time that people forgot about. Shout out to Boxing Wave, man. I never had the honor to have Boxing Wave on the channel. I'll tell you this. I'll give you guys two names, and if these guys go live, y'all can tell them I said this as well. The two people that I've had interactions with over the years that have been really cool, that I haven't ever collabed with, that I would like to collab with, are Boxing Wave is definitely one of them, and then I would say definitely, probably above anybody else that I never collaborated, T Street Controversy. He's one of the pioneers of this. I remember T Street Controversy way back in the Enter the Arena, Don Juan Banks days, and as quiet as kept, I worked with Don Juan Banks for like 2 videos, and then that ran its course and whatever. And God bless Don Juan Banks wherever he's at in the world. But I've always loved T Street Controversy. We met one time in New York City in 2017, and it was really cool. He was really cool, and he's always been a really respectable guy, and got a lot of respect for him and what he's given to the YouTube box community over the years. So yeah, those two are awesome. And I didn't even know that about Boxing Wave. So if he did say that about me, respect to him. Ramon Cardenas, that'd be a good one. I like Ramon Cardenas. Really, I'm a fan. I've actually been at Ramon Cardenas' last 2 fights. I was there for his last fight on Pro Box when he knocked that guy out in Florida. I was there. That was crazy. And then I was there when he fought anyway. So I'm very familiar with Ramon Cardenas. And yeah, why not? Why not have him on one of these days? I put it in my notes too. I didn't even tell you guys. So every day I got things in my notes I got to do. And one of the things in my notes that I put to myself was to reach out to 8 to 10 fighters, get them on this channel before I got to go out to get it back on the road. So I'm going to reach out to some of these guys and we'll see who says yes. Is Albert Gonzalez going to stop Aaron Alameda? That's a good question. I got a lot of respect for Aaron Alameda. He gave Neri a tough fight back in the day. He gave Angel a very tough fight back in 2021. Good veteran, tough, southpaw, Mexican fighter. I'll tell you this, man, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I know Alameda fought Jan Santana, and Jan Santana didn't get him out of there, but I believe Jan Santana might have blanked him like 12-0. So if he could stop Alameda, to me, that would be a big statement. That I already look at Albert Chop Gonzalez as a serious contender in the featherweight division, but if he stops Aaron Alameda, it would take my my perception of him to a whole nother level. You understand? Quiet as kept. Albert Chop Gonzalez and Bruce Carrington already have common opponents, and there's been some opponents where you could say Chop performed better than Bruce. And I know the top-ranked matchmakers are very high on Chop Gonzalez. A lot of people are high on Chop Gonzalez. I like Chop Gonzalez. Did you ever find out if the guy's making Undisputed 2? Talk about the video game? No, I haven't. I haven't talked to Angelo probably like in a solid week, and I haven't talked to his dad in like over 10 days now. 10 days. Yeah, it's been 10 days since I talked to his dad. But nah, I haven't heard anything about that. But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, the untouchable, True School Sports Empire. Shout out to everybody here still rocking with me, at almost 3 in the morning. I'm giving y'all an encore in the last 30 minutes. I got 15 minutes left, and then I'm gonna get up on out of here. So get the questions in, man. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, super chat, all that blase. And let your thoughts be known. Speak your peace. Y'all been asking for like these collabs on lives and stuff, so I gave it to you today. Forget Undisputed. We need another fight night. I would love another fight night. I feel like EA Sports needs to make. I would much rather prefer EA Sports to do another fight night than there be like Undisputed. No disrespect to Undisputed, but like EA Sports is just better. It's just better. So let's revive the Fight Night franchise. I feel like boxing needs a proper video game that is really a hit with casuals. Because if you really think about it, if you think about why boxing isn't as popular in the mainstream as it was, let's say, 20 years ago, one of the reasons is because of a lack of a true boxing video game. Video games in sports are what really help market athletes and things like that to casual fans. You know how many people play NBA 2K and like certain players just because they're good with them on 2K? Same thing with boxing. Miguel Cotto and Zab Judah and Pacquiao and all these guys that were in all the old fight nights. Part of the reason that played a role in their popularity was because these guys were in the old fight nights. Same thing with Bernard Hopkins. I mean, what was it, Fight Night Round 3, or Bernard Hopkins is like this. That's part of his popularity. That's part of his brand. Montoya is a good fighter. Montoya, he actually, quiet as kept, he gave Bernardo Lopez his first loss. He gave Mark Castro a tough fight. He's a bit past it now. Like he's towards the latter stages of his career. So Andy Cruz should be able to beat Montoya, but he can punch a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and see if how Andy Cruz responds to the loss. Andy Cruz has any durability issues or anything like that, Montoya could definitely test him. But I would say Andy Cruz should beat him. I would say probably on points. Maybe that punching power from Montoya keeps Andy Cruz a little honest. But I'm not gonna lie to you. The last time I see Montoya fight was when he fought Mark Castro, and I'm gonna say that was probably like a year and a half, maybe longer. Yeah, man. People underestimate simple things like that, like a boxing video game, like an actual real like hit with the fans boxing video game. Is tomorrow's Joe good? Have you seen it? I've heard of it, but are you talking about the anime? Are you talking about Ashita no Joe? The that's the OG boxing anime. I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't watched it too much. I've seen like a couple episodes here and there. The same people that made that anime will later go on to make Hajime no Ippo. So if you have enjoyed Hajime no Ippo, odds are you're probably gonna enjoy Ashita no Joe. A lot of people have said that that's the better of the two animes. Now I don't have an opinion because I haven't really sat there and watched a ton of Ashita no Joe. I've watched like maybe 2 or 3 episodes here and there because I don't know about now, but I remember like a year and a half ago, a year ago, when I wanted to watch it, it was kind of hard to find episodes. You had to get like a subscription on this thing called Crunchyroll, which is like a streaming platform. And there wasn't really a lot of episodes on YouTube like you have for Hajime no Ippo, so I didn't really go through the trouble of trying to watch it. But I've heard everyone who has watched it, that's gone through the trouble of finding episodes, they really like it. But for me, Hajime no Ippo to me is the best piece of boxing cinema TV show ever produced. That show was so good. You could show it to someone that doesn't know shit about boxing, and they'll start to understand boxing, not just how it the in the ring, but the psychology of it just by watching Hajime no Ippo. So to me, I like that show the most. That's what helped UFC get big too, and EA is the one who makes them. Wonder if Dana. Yeah, that is true, and the UFC getting that deal with EA Sports. That's why they don't make the fight night games no more. That's the reason. One man said, "Undisputed low key probably made casuals not like boxing. I keep hearing how bad it was." Now I haven't played it in a while, but I remember in 2024 they had a release party for it during Canelo Berlanga Fight Week, and I went to it. Me and Sean Zittel went to it. They had a bunch of people there, like Daniel Jacobs was there. Nonito Donaire was there. I went. And when it first came out, I liked it at first. I thought it was pretty good, but I've heard they made a bunch of updates and things like that, and now it sucks. It's terrible. So either way, whether it would have been good or not, the people that make that game, they didn't have a big budget. It was never going to get the full critical acclaim because it just didn't have the big budget. So I would like to see the boxing video game franchise like Fight Night come back with a big budget, a lot of marketing dollars pushed behind it to the masses. Because people will play a boxing game. They will play it. People that don't even know shit about Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or whoever the new fighters are, they will buy that game and they'll play it. If it is done properly, if it is good, and if it is marketed highly. And you guys have mentioned Saudi owning EA Sports. I mean, well then why hasn't there been a game yet? What's taking so long? Turkey's been in the fold for 3 years now. Where's our boxing game? David Papo is fighting Harlem Eubank. David Papo, High Roll's fighter, is fighting tomorrow versus Harlem Eubank. Yeah, I'm not really intrigued about the fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. David Papo is kind of like a cannon fighter to me. You know, respect to him. Harlem Eubank, feather-fisted southpaw, the cousin of Chris Eubank Jr. I think that's what he is, or nephew. I don't know if he's a cousin or a nephew, but he's related to him somehow. What I'm really interested about when it comes to that card is not so much the fight itself, but more so I'm really intrigued about Misfits Pro, you know, because they're one of like the 7 or 8 promotional companies now on DAZN. And from what I've gathered during my research and talking to people that I know in the business, they got a lot of money to burn with Mams Taylor and all that stuff. So I'm intrigued to see. I've heard good things from people in the business, people that have followed their cards. Good reports. So I want to see just more how their shows are ran and things like that. Ippo was a little dated in its presentation. I thought Hajime no Ippo was. It is, you could say dated, but I mean, I don't think it's dated as far as. How do I say this? To me, obviously you can tell it was made in a certain time period. But the quality in terms of how they illustrate the psychology of boxing to the average person, that to me is timeless. That's what makes it special. I'm like 19 episodes in the Ipo. I heard they never kept it going though. Hopefully, boxing popularity can revive it. Yeah. Well, I'll give you guys some insider trading here. So there's a company in Japan that makes boxing gear. Shout out to the fine folks at Fuego Boxing. The name of the company is called Fuego Boxing. They do the outfits for Jin Sasaki. So if you like Jin Sasaki's outfits, they do all of Jin Sasaki's outfits. They make boxing shoes. They over the last well, they made Angelo's outfit for the Rai Salim fight, but which you guys never got to see. It was pretty sick. You guys will see it at some point. And Angelo wore their shoes for the Kameda fight. So Angelo Leo sponsored by them as well. And Fuego Boxing, they're officially licensed to make Hajime no Ippo like apparel, because the creator of Fuego Boxing, and he knows the creator and the writer of Hajime no Ippo, which is a guy named George Morikawa. So fun fact, guys, I didn't believe it at first until Angelo showed me. George Morikawa is actually an Angelo Leo fan. Like, I guess he watched him fight and he likes him. So hopefully in the future we can get like an Angelo Leo Hajime no Ippo anime caricature. That's a fact. And I seen the messages. It was crazy. You know? Shout out to Fuego Boxing and George Morikawa. I want to meet George Morikawa. That's on my bucket list of things to do when I go to Japan next time. I want to meet him because I'm a big fan of the show. In fact, I don't know if y'all can see this, but this picture right here, it's like a screenshot I took from an episode. It's like that's Takabura from the show, and he's like in a boxing ring outside, and it's like a training camp vibe. So I actually Hajime no Ippo was on the set. Fun fact. Why do you believe David Papo was cannon fodder? He was close to beating Paul. I guarantee he could beat Ryan Garcia. He's cool. I'm not. Maybe cannon fodder is a bit harsh. I've watched him fight. He's solid. He's a solid fighter. You know, Eubanks, fringe, world level at best. Do I believe that Floyd never drank alcohol or smoked? Maybe he did. I actually tend to believe him. I feel like Floyd is kind of like me in a sense. Like, I don't drink or smoke, but man, Los Mujeres, women, that's mine. I feel like every man has to struggle with one of those at some point in his life. Some people have all three. I don't really care. I mean, I never really smoked anything but a cigar on a couple of occasions. I only drink on celebratory occasions, but man, Los Mujeres, that's where it's at, champ. But I'm disciplined with that too. But I'm just telling you guys the honest God's truth. I mean, I can see why you don't believe him. I really can, but I'm not there in the club with him. But I really don't think that he smoked or drank. I don't. Nothing about his in the ring performances leads me to believe that. Now, drinking. I'll tell you one thing I know about Floyd. I know one thing about Floyd when he used to train, in the middle of really hard, strenuous workouts, he used to love drinking soda. That's one thing I do know about him. He used to love drinking soda in the middle of a workout. That's a fun. I don't know if y'all know that, but that's a fun fact about Floyd that I learned throughout the years. Talking to people that watched him train in Vegas, he loved drinking his soda in the middle of workouts. Not all the time, but it was something he would do from time to time. My only thoughts on that particular fight is that I'm just happy to see Saul Sanchez in action. I like Saul Sanchez. I had the opportunity to actually watch Saul Sanchez spar when I was in Japan in early 2025. I saw him spar Seiya Tsutsumi. Very good sparring. Probably one of my favorite sparring sessions I've seen, actually, believe it or not. Because if you watch Saul Sanchez fight and you watch Seiya Tsutsumi fight, you can only imagine what a sparring session between those two would be like. So good to see him back in action. I didn't like the fact that he took that Casemiro fight. I don't think he should have did it with Casemiro coming in overweight. So hopefully he can continue building himself back to a world title shot and gets the victory. Thus far, news? No. I heard the grapevine he might be fighting Keita Kuwahara, but I can't really confirm that. I've heard it. We'll see what happens. But shit, I'll be in Japan in September. So if he ain't fighting by that, I'll go down and see Seiya. I know where to catch Seiya. I know what gyms he trains at. He's trained at. There's 2 gyms in Japan he trains at specifically, so I know where to catch him. And we talk on Instagram from time to time. So yeah, he was drinking Pepsi, all that stuff. A lot of these guys don't be as disciplined as you think. You know, I mean, there are guys that do live that life, but a lot of guys love to drink and be out. A man right here says he lived in Japan for 5 years out there by Nagasaki. Yo, shout out to you, champ. Yeah, I love Japan. I've been going every year since 2023. I'm supposed to go in September. The date I'm targeting is September 19th. So I'm looking at being in Japan from September 19th to November 19th. I'm gonna do the full 90 days when I go there this time. And I did that one time in late 2024 to early 2025. I did the full 90 days, so I want to do it again. Oh shit. Okay, he said I just found your channel. I was doing a film breakdown for Rio since welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Home of Boxing on YouTube. I would highly encourage you to go back and watch the playback of this live. We had Sean Zittel and Greg Hackett on here. I don't know if you know those guys, but great boxing minds. They both got skin in the game. Go check out the video archive here. There's a lot of great interviews from 2015, to now. Riddick Bowe, Vander Holyfield, Vladimir Klitschko, Teofimo Lopez, Stacey McKinley, a lot of people. Terrence Crawford. There's a lot of great stuff on this channel. Larry Holmes. So I'll tell you this: the fights that I'm gonna watch tomorrow for sure. I don't know if I'm gonna watch Eubank versus Dave Peppo. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't really care that much about that fight. But the fights I'm definitely gonna watch. I'm definitely gonna watch the 2 fights I need to watch tomorrow for sure. I want to watch all the fights I want to watch. I want to watch Trayshawn Wiggins versus what's the kid's name? The Mexican guy, Aguilar. I want to watch that fight because Aguilar is a hard-hitting Mexican fighter. Got a lot of knockouts. I think he might be Robert Garcia fighter, but I don't remember. Trayshawn Wiggins is a friend of mine. Has a crazy record, but he's been put in tough. And Trayshawn Wiggins is a lot better than the 17-5-4 record would indicate. I feel like he's been doing his best boxing later on in his career. He's 36. It's do or die. He got to win this fight or not, or he can't progress forward. So I want to see how he does. He's waiting for a fight like this. So he's getting an undefeated Mexican fighter. That's probably the number 1 fight on the Pro Box card I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Obviously Pacheco. I like Pacheco a lot. Been high on him for years since I've learned who he was back in 2019, 2018. Also on that card, Leo Atang. Heard great things about him. Albert Chop Gonzalez stepping up against a solid veteran in Alameda. And then Frank Espinoza, who I've heard a lot about through people in the boxing world. So a lot of good prospects on that Pacheco card. But I would say as far as those fights later on today, those are the fights I'm really going to be dialed in on. The Real Boxing Channel, which I think is a cool name. He says, I met Sean Patel in Vegas at Murataya Cruz. He's one of the most genuine dudes I ever met. Gave me solid advice on my YouTube channel. Well, shout out to you, champ. I mean, I'm not familiar with your YouTube channel, but I wish you the best on your YouTube journey. It's a lot of fun. Definitely just have fun with it and make sure you be yourself at all times and you talk about things you're passionate about. And eventually the viewers will come. That's what I've learned. So do your thing, champ. And yeah, Sean's a great guy. One of my best friends on this earth that I've known since 2000 and late 2015. I'm talking about go back to the boxing boys days. So yeah, good dude. But guys, on that note, that is my 3 hours. Hope you guys enjoy the live. I'll be live after the Pacheco fight later on today, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Put the notifications. Put the notifications on the channel because a lot of you guys are complaining that you're not getting the notifications on. So hit the notification bell, and so that you can know when I'm live and things like that. Or just tune in after the fight, and I should be live within probably 30 to 45 minutes at the conclusion of Pacheco versus Ali to get my thoughts on that. And yeah, just definitely keep supporting the channel. Gonna be going to a lot of fights soon, from New York to Vegas to England to Japan. You know, I'm excited about this stretch, man. I've been waiting my whole life for this stretch, so definitely been years in the making. So, yeah, guys, keep supporting the channel. God bless, and I will see you after Pacheco Alim.